Common Hasbro L.
I've heard of college dropouts, but this is ridiculous.
I mean, I am the most Archer-pilled person here.
They all feel so fun, and plus, they've been such good repaint fodder. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 6th session of the Chugcratic seminar. I am your Dean of the Arts, ID Armed, and today we're going to take it back to where it all began for our good old Chug. Today's 6th seminar is on Transformers Classics. Joining me today, first of all, is the one man that can go band to band with me in owning Z-tier Beast Wars characters, the Dean of Critique, Runestone Reviews.
ID beat Hasbro to core class pack. That's all I'm saying.
Twice. Next up is the only man I know that can make a swindle smaller than my thumb, the Dean of Fabrication, definitely not Char.
A pleasure to be here, Rune and ID.
And last but not least, the one man that I honestly don't know if knows about more about F1 or Transformers, our very own headmaster, Kit Catastrophe.
Yes, hello. Head on.
How are you all doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
I would be better, except I just dropped Jetfire's missile on the floor.
Is that what all that clamor was for?
Yes, it was. Okay, we're good now.
So yeah, we have a very exciting episode ahead of us today. Probably, I believe this is going to be our first retrospective on a singular toy line.
That is the case, yeah.
Transformers Classics. But before that, did you guys want to talk about any new figures that we've gotten in the past month or so?
Well, to stay on topic, I recently just completed the Classics line, as you can see in the photo here. And by completed, I just mean the mainline Deluxes and Voyagers, not any Legends or exclusives or anything like that. But yeah, I got Megatron, Jetfire, Cliffjumper, and Grimlock in the mail recently, just to round out the line before we started talking about it. They were figures that were on my radar for a while, but I just never got around to them. I honestly, burying the lead a little bit here, Cliffjumper is by far my favorite of the line. He's just one figure that I cannot stop picking up and playing with.
Yeah, no, I'll have lots of things to say about Cliff later on. Does that also... So, Kit, does that make this your first Transformers purchase influenced by being on a podcast like the Chugcratic seminar?
Yeah. The podcast kind of enabled me. But to be fair, I did come up with this particular topic, so really I just enabled myself.
No, fair enough. So I will say on my own end, I actually have not been doing too much figure collecting lately because TFCon Los Angeles is just under 3 weeks away until I make my flight. So any purchase that I've been making lately are just for my repaints and my customs. The only figure I've gotten lately that is a brand new figure, but even then that is going to be used for a custom, is the new-ish Legacy Medics from Evolution from last year. There's a term that my other friends and I throw around called support chug, which means basically a chug figure that can be fine on its own, but honestly just looks better on a shelf and or makes other figures look better. And I think Medics is one of the finest pieces of support chug I've purchased in a long, long time. With his like 5 weapons. Well, 5 weapons, it's more like 3 guns, a light bar, and what's the last one? His bumper gun, and a very mishmash deco. I really like it, actually. Not like the greatest figure ever, don't get me wrong, but like he'll probably look nice on a shelf once I get a proper copy.
Of course, leave it to ID Armed to buy a toy to make other toys look better on a shelf.
That's true. That is very on point.
Just called him out.
Anyways, Char, Rune, did either of you two get any new purchases lately, or has it been pretty lax the past month?
I mean, quite frankly, with the recent HasLab,
right.
I have not really been able to justify any other purchases, and quite frankly, there hasn't been anything I've really wanted to buy lately either. I've mostly been Transformers-wise. Most of my activity has been project-based, as you might have seen if you follow Twitter, which almost no one does. I have been making my very own version of Swindle, which will be available at some point, I promise. And as you may have seen, I've been working on my RID restoration project.
Yeah, the wheels, which are looking very nice so far, I'll say.
Yeah, the resin to print them came in today or the other day, so I've been test printing them today. So yeah, big things, but no purchases.
And as for me, I mean, if you've said what you had to say, Char.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I'll quickly talk about a couple of purchases of mine. First up is Legacy United Chase. He's pretty good. Not as great as I thought he'd be. There are some issues I have with the shoulders, but beyond that, he's generally a pretty solid figure. My issues with him, well, for one, he has those bits of kibble at the back that restrict shoulder movement, and also the hinges that lift the shoulders up into place don't lock anywhere, so it's pretty easy to manipulate them when you're trying to pose them. The other figure that I want to talk about, I finally have myself a modulator. I finally have a Grease Pit, which I think is one that you said I'd like. I think ID said it was the best of the modulators. I think ID, you're on
Of
mute.
course
I
he'd
think.
say that. He's the Chugmeister. He likes everything. What are your thoughts?
But yeah, well, I mean, it really is just a shame that there were only 2 modulator molds in that entire line, and granted, you could buy multiple copies and make multiple configurations out of them, but just think how much you could do with even more molds to work off of.
Exactly. Realistically, there's only so much you could do without new parts and whatnot.
It really is a shame that the Earthrise toy line was cut. All I have to say regarding my recent talk. Kit, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
I'm not. I haven't been saying anything.
Actually, am I the only one who's been hearing Runestone cut out a bit?
I
No,
cut out a little bit, Rune. Hey,
that clamor you just heard is the reason my microphone was muted. Anywho, so in our traditional slideshows, before we go on to where Chug began, let's see where it's going with a very monumental reveal from Hasbro that I believe all 4 of us are very interested in, that being HasLab Omega Prime.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped. I still haven't backed it, actually. I have to confess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
Now that's a shock.
it's so weird to explain because, like, you're not putting money down now, but, like, I feel like I'd like to come back home from Los Angeles, TFCon LA, knowing I have 250 to blow, and then we'll feel confident to back it. I mean, I'm going to back it regardless, but, like, that's like how I'd like to do it personally.
I mean, I understand that you'd rather just know you have the money on hand instead of planning for the future.
Yeah.
That is absolutely it. If anything, I wish HasLab's had the option to, like, put a deposit down or something, but that's not really a US kind of thing to do. So, like, I get it.
It is I'm very excited. Well, I am definitely excited for it. It's the first HasLab I have backed ever, and it seems to be like one of those few Chug updates from the early 2000s era that actually improves in some ways over the original.
Yeah, no, I agree. The originals are never leaving me. This is not a thing where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sell the originals. No way. That is like
Oh,
a crazy.
absolutely not.
But I think they pulled it off well because don't get it twisted. I personally, I can dig the animated universe, Prime universe, etc. kind of thing when it's done well. I care more about a good toy than like it being a faithful design. Well, yeah, that's how I put it. Because a lot of them have good prior toys. This doesn't invalidate them, but like this is, I think, the best update because they literally just took the same guy and said, "Do it again," and he did it again, and it looks pretty good for it. You know.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
these toys are very stylish, and I love that they turned Magnus's big fuck off gun into a little dude.
I know that's what I wish we'd see in like mainline Legacy more is just like reinventing like minor aspects of these characters. I wouldn't call Blue Bolt's a minor aspect of Magnus. See, there's like so much electronic stuff that goes with Blue Bolts. I mean, it's really just pushing buttons on Magnus, but still, it's like one of the most important things about Magnus. But then again, he's got like 500 important things going on. But like, shoot, it's fun. It's like really cool. And like I can't wait to get it. Blue Bolts was honestly what sold me on this, and that's crazy.
Yeah, electronic gimmicks are really a thing of the past when it comes to modern Transformers, and it's good to see them do something wildly different to replace that gimmick. I mean, of course, you can't really. There's really nothing on Optimus himself to replace the electronics, but I mean, he looks cool as hell anyway. But I just like that the big gun has more purpose than just being a big gun now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Also, I've seen a couple people mention it in passing, but Char, I hope to see you make some missiles, like some faux missiles to put in those ports as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, I guess this
Oh,
guy in the
yes.
chat,
You know
Matt
what?
R75, would be real interested in some replacement missiles.
It just feels kind of naked without them. That's all. Like on the new one, to not have like even like faux ones that go in there, because even it hasn't been shown off in too much detail, but the prototypes and everything show Optimus's fire ladder has like the missiles sculpted in, or maybe they come off or something. And I hope Magnus comes with them at the end of it, but if not, someone's gonna make them in like 5 seconds. They're just like big cylinders with frown.
I mean, the 5mm ports are right there. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't add them. But I didn't think of it before, but that might be a task for me.
For sure. Plus, if they're 5mm, you can just like you could totally use them as like weapons or something, like just some kind
That's exactly what I had on my mind. Make them repurposable into, I don't know, because Blue Bolt doesn't have any 5mm port hands. He has gun hands.
He has no hands actually. Shoot.
Do we know yet if his hands are like blast effect compatible or anything?
Probably go back like a slide or something to show the Blue Bolts can't. Yeah, those look like 5mm holes to me. On the lower right hand corner pick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Hasbro loves their play patterns, so I wouldn't be surprised.
But I gotta this whole HasLab made me realize how massive the original Fire Convoy is, and I'm going crazy that they made it like even bigger.
What's crazy to me isn't how big Fire Convoy is; it's how big God Magnus is. Because I have him on my shelf. I've like reorganized my shelf recently, and to fit God Magnus into my shelf, he has to crouch.
Yeah, God Magnus is bigger than Fire Convoy from like a height perspective, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I mean, look, they're basically on par when Fire Convoy's in super mode.
No, even then, Fire Convoy only just fits in my display. But God Magnus has to crouch, mostly because of the wings.
So I guess I'll ask you guys, because man, if the TF community, especially on like Twitter and Discord and whatnot, they get heated over a lot of toy stuff, right? But this one was pretty heated, and I just want to ask you guys from like your perspectives. do you guys like the direction HasLabs might be going since this is already a pretty big success? It's going to get the roads as well. There's probably going to be a secret third tier or something. But what I mean is just doing more popular characters behind HasLabs. I know, actually, Death Source and Star Saber are definitely popular characters, but this is like a really popular character, you know? Like a...
I'm not entirely sure about that. I would actually argue that Star Saber has like more mainstream appeal than Fire Convoy.
That's true. It's probably owed to like more rapid appearances like over time. Fire Convoy is really still just like Fire Convoy, you know, never really shown up in anything since or whatnot. So
yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I'm of two minds about this because on the one hand, it's a really cool design that they picked, and it looks like they put a lot of effort into every mode and the whole play pattern and stuff. But on the other hand, I mean, if they're doing more popular, more marketable characters, I would prefer the toys to be just a little cheaper. You know, I don't want to shell out like $300 for a toy that could have easily been at retail. You know.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm also kind of two minds because if the toy's good, I will shell out the money for it. And I think I definitely think Godfire Convoy with being 2 commanders, a deluxe, 2 brand new mold commanders, a brand new deluxe, as well as, you know, all the accessories they come with off to the side with like the backer tiers. I think it'll be worth $250. It's just more of like the fact that no one will be able to get them after unless I think
they do the whole they do the HasLab Vault thing now.
Yeah, which is like,
and they did say that yellow Fire Convoy isn't off the table here. So we could get a shot at this Prime at some point. Matt R75 in the chat said that probably means a possible Megatron or maybe Team Bullet Train. Team Bullet Train is one team that I could see being a HasLab and would be fine with, but I think Megatron, even with the whole 10 mode thing, would be very much beyond the pale when it comes to HasLab. I would not support that idea.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm with you. I think Gigatron is like an infinitely more identifiable design to like the wider Transformers fandom, because like that's a design that like makes cameos and appearances often enough, at least compared to Fire Convoy and God Magnus, that like I think it'd be fine. Also, we're getting Magmatron at retail, and Magmatron was, I know he had a Beast Machines toy, but like to most of the Western TF fandom, he's basically a nobody.
Not to me. It's fantastic.
Don't get me wrong, but like the fact that Magmatron, the villain of a Japanese exclusive TV show that only had like 1 release in Beast Machines, can get a commander toy, I think that does mean the main villain of a TV show that aired in the United States and the rest of the Western side of the planet can get a commander.
I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with Kit here. I'm in two minds because on one hand, I don't like the fact that like these figures are more expensive, you know, and hard to get, and you're basically forced to make a choice about them before you actually get an opportunity to like see what they're like, you know. But on the other hand, it's like, if this is what it takes for Hasbro to make a toy that I actually want, you know, then
fair enough. I think in all honesty, this kind of like skirts being kind of even more egregious because it is just like the whole package. You're getting the sword now. We're gonna probably get the ground bridge and stuff. Is that the global space bridge, whatever it's called. You're getting obviously Molt Magnus, Blue. It's like a complete package. You're not missing out on anything, right? So, but if it was just like if they did like just Fire Convoy for like $150, that would have felt pretty gross, you know.
Yeah, but I think both of these toys by themselves could have been Commander class. Blue Bolts would probably have been cut out of that budget, but
I believe what they said on record is that had this been a retail thing, it would have been 2 deluxes and then Blue Bolts would be separate. Just like how with the
2 deluxes.
Or I'm sorry, 2 commanders and a brand new deluxe, right? Like a regular but because it's pretty similar to what they were playing with Deathsaurus, where he was going to be a partial of 86 Grimlock, and then Tiger Breast and Eagle Breast would have been just core class figures. And it's like I think I'm happier with what they ended up doing.
Yeah, I mean, Studio Series Grimlock sucks. So I even though I missed out on Death Saurus, that what we got is definitely preferable.
I never expected you to say that. Did you ever do a review? Now I feel like I got to go back and like.
I haven't got. I'm waiting on all 5 to come out. I still don't have Snarl. But so far, Grimlock is my least favorite of the 3.
Okay.
I don't really like him that much, but I do like Slag and Sludge.
Fair enough. And again, I wish I could say I like Snarl, but I don't have him yet. He's gonna be. I'm gonna be on the lookout for him at LA. That's for sure.
Look out for 2, please.
So, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is currently up to the target for this one was 10,000 backers, and now we're currently up to 14,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they keep dumping. They keep dumping a lot of backers every once a week. So that's why you keep seeing it increasing by the thousands every so often. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'll say this right now: I am one of those backers. This is the first HasLab that I've decided to back. Because I just say it may be my only experience, or my only chance rather, to experience these designs, because the original toys, I imagine, are pretty hard to acquire, complete and cheap. Because I think both, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I know Ultra Magnus, the original RID Ultra Magnus, is very parts formery, and RID Optimus isn't much better off in that respect. And on top of that, from what I understand, Optimus Prime, his tires are apparently made of some PCV plastic that's prone to cracking and drying out over time.
Well, yeah. So
one of us is working on a solution to that.
Yeah. Yes. Well, a big problem with the RID toys was, they made that rubberized plastic material that is prone to cracking over time. Actually hasn't happened on many of my figures. I can definitely tell that the tires are degrading on Prowl and Sideburn to a degree. Optimus and Ultra Magnus are probably unaffected because they're the Encore versions. Yeah. From what I've seen on the secondhand market, they're not actually that hard to come by for a decent price. But this was 5-6 years ago. I was looking.
Yeah, no, mine was a little bit later than yours, but I found my copy of Fire Conversion Optimus Prime at a shop down here in this part of the state for $60 just with some cracked tires and no missiles, and it was I scooped that up so fast. So
yeah, I know collecting on this side of the Atlantic is probably a lot different from that side of the Atlantic, but I'm usually able to find pretty good condition versions of both characters on TF Land for around $100 each, which the only reason I haven't really gone for them is that it's just a little pricey to go after on a whim,
Absolutely.
So I just haven't gotten around to it, but one day I will. One day.
Yeah, I'd say 100 to 100, 80 to 100 is about the right price point for those figures, considering fucking inflation and everything. I'd say they're quite good figures. Of course, I would. They're effectively my favorite figures in my collection. Yeah.
And on top of that, from what I understand about the Encore reissue of Optimus Prime, at least, he was apparently plagued with absolutely horrendous quality control problems, from faulty sound chips to things not locking properly in fire engine mode, and to the point where I think they actually recalled that item and issued a public apology.
Yes, that is what happened. On my copy, I did have some QC issues. My QC issues were that on Ultra Magnus, the head of Omega Prime does not actually fold away correctly, so it's kind of sticking out a little. So the flap doesn't sit flush with the top of the truck. That's kind of frustrating. And also the ratchet on Optimus Prime's left thigh didn't engage, so his thigh was floppy. So I had to go in there and open up the thigh and basically rebuild the joint in there by filling around the spring and getting it all to actually work. Now it works fine, but like you shouldn't have to go full DIY on a bloody £150 purchase or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so disappointing because I won't lie. If the Encore was like good QC, I feel like that would not invalidate per se, but like personally, I would not be as invested into HasLab. But no,
I mean, I'm very happy with the Encore. The reason I think the HasLab has its place is because it does things differently. It has different advantages from the Encore.
yeah, no, fair enough. I'm coming more from the perspective of literally the deco, because like the Encore God Convoy says like one of the prettiest things I've ever seen from Transformers. If we're talking like colors, it looks so beautiful, and this seems to take the colors from that in like spades. So that's why I'm really interested in, or one of many reasons why I'm interested in this.
The main reason I'm excited for this is, in my opinion, Godfire Convoy's combined mode is excellently proportioned.
Yeah,
it seems to have gotten around a lot of the challenges of the original figure, and it's able to look pretty good in every single mode, basically.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It transforms the exact same way for the most part. So like, I wonder what proportional changes happen to make Godfire Convoy itself look so good.
Well, looking at it, I think the main difference is the way that God Magnus's torso turns into the chest piece for Omega Prime. I'm very interested to see how that actually works, but
it does kind of
it's different.
What's the word? It does kind of go down more, like the chest like armor seems to like fall down onto the top of Fire Convoy's chest more.
So on the original figure, the way it worked was that the front of the truck, the whole front of the truck of God Magnus, basically became the chest of Godfire Convoy, and so you could sort of fan mode a traditional Optimus Prime chest on the on Godfire Convoy's combined mode, but on this it seems they've gone for a very different approach to making the torso, which has led to much improved proportions, it seems.
And I dig it. Like, again, it's really cool because they took the same guy, same Takara designer, said, yeah, just do it again, and he did it again, and it looks really good for it still.
That's what they did with Masterpiece Skids as well.
Yeah, and I have Reboost, so I know that's a really good toy too.
Same.
It is. I have Crosswise, and it's one of my favorite masterpieces personally.
Like, I enjoy Chug like well enough, more than well enough maybe, but if it was literally just stuff like this, what they did with Godfire Convoy, as well as like sprinkling in new stuff more often, it would be like super fun to collect, or way more fun to collect than like it already is for me personally.
All right. Well, we've been on the air for about half an hour now.
Oh.
So how about we actually get to the main topic of today's podcast?
It's time for classics.
I have to say, Runestone, you've outdone yourself with this slide. I love this. You gotta bring this back for the next retrospective, whatever it is.
Yeah, man, absolutely cooked.
Oh boy, that packaging brings back memories.
I love it. Like, there's so much to like look at here.
Well, I mean, I take it you understand why it's structured the way it is, don't you?
Yeah, very chronological.
Well, yeah, because Transformers Classics, it's pretty much the filler line in between Cybertron and the first live action film.
Yeah, that is pretty much exactly what it is. Came out in 2006 as a bit of fan service because they just had a bit of dead air between two toy lines.
Well,
and
I think
they really cooked.
Yeah, because I think the first live action film was originally due for 2006, and then it got pushed back for the following year, possibly in an attempt to make it 2007's big summer blockbuster. So they needed a product to fill for time, and they actually came up with 3 lines: Beast Wars 10th Anniversary, Titanium, and of course, Transformers Classics.
I think it was a good decision for everyone involved.
God, yeah, I'm clamoring to see like a full version of this now one day for like episode 127 or something.
We'll just be talking about like the Micromaster reissue line or something.
That would be perfect. That would be splendid. Like talk about insane stuff like that.
So basically, it appears what we've done is gone through the line size class by size class and alphabetically, and we're just going to talk about the figures and say what we think about them. First slide is one that I definitely don't have a lot of experience with, but I know Runestone at least has some experience. We're talking about the Legends class and the mini cons. I definitely don't have any mini cons, but I do have Legends Leo Prime.
Well,
boy.
The most experience I've had is pretty much the entire first wave of Legends class figures, which, if you can't make it out, are all recolors of Cybertron Legends class figures. You have Triptychon from Scourge, Perceptor from Cybertron Defense Red Alert. They call it Fireflight, but it's actually Power Glide from Jetfire, and Leo Prime from Leo Breaker.
That's what the Firefly thing was? Really?
That's what he was? Yeah.
Well, I think he was supposed to be Power Glide. I mean it may be word of mouth, it may be just what I've read off TF Wiki, but I think that's who it was meant to be.
Yeah, no. Now I'm reading this and it's like, oh wow, okay.
The other Legends class figures pictured on the right-hand side, you have Menasor, aka Motor Master from Optimus Prime, Jetfire from Thundercracker, Whirl from Evac, and Bumblebee from fellow Kid Appeal character Hotshot.
I have to say, I know you asked me a day or two ago about how interested I would be in actually completing these subsets, and I said I was going to complete the mini cons because that's one of my collecting goals. I just want every American release mini con. But man, these Legends class figures really cooked with their decos. I really like them. Especially like look at Jetfire and Fireflight, Whirl,
and
even
Rune,
Triptychon.
Was it just these 8?
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
Was it just the 8 of them? Because I feel like there's a lot more, but I'm probably getting it mixed up with some like Universe.
You're probably thinking of the ones that were recolored for Universe 2008.
Though, because definitely one I didn't have as a kid, but I knew another kid that had it back in elementary school was a 5-pack of Hunger Scattershot, and then a Razor Claw, I think from Leo Breaker.
Yeah, it was the special teams set. There was a hotspot in there, I think.
Hotspot.
I gotta say that set is so like ingenious because, like, obviously they're just recolors, but that there's a definite theme going on because it's the leaders of the various G1 combiner teams. It's so cool.
I'll be honest. These slides are surreal for me because like these figures were. I remember like half of these figures from my childhood. Like, I definitely had Jetfire. I definitely had Whirl. I definitely had the guy who was not Power Glide. I had Leo Convoy. Like it's strange because I don't remember where they came from, but yeah, I definitely had these sets.
And the only one they made of. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I was about to sort of change the subject.
I was just going to say that the only one, to my knowledge, that they did a full size toy of is Leo Prime in Universe 2008.
They did 2 decos of him actually. I saw the red one at a comic convention when I was a kid. I ended up getting Revenge of the Fallen Superion instead.
It's not bad. I don't think
that being said, That being said, there was a red redeco of the large Cybertron Defense Red Alert toy into Countdown.
Yes, that's on
Also
my,
from
that's on my
It's a
bucket
very
list.
nice
I
figure.
need it so bad still. I love Countdown, so I will. But
Countdown's a great
good thing you
figure.
bring up Leo Prime because I don't think I brought it up on the podcast, but I've definitely brought it up in passing in like various species or whatever. Classics Leo Prime and Classics Trypticon are my first two ever Transformers, and I still have the Leo Prime. He's sitting right next to me. This Leo Prime has been with me for like 18 years at this point. It's crazy, and it means a lot to me. Honestly, I should probably try and scope out a mint on card one at TFCon. Same thing with Trypticon. Trypticon works way too well for just like a repaint. Like that is kind of like a Trypticon that like stays in my mind when I think. Yeah, no,
I have
so
them
good.
right here.
And it was so good too. I think it was about a year or two ago. I got Universe Leo Prime from the Leo Breaker, the bigger one, and it's like I don't know. I felt so that was like a figure that made me feel so fulfilled, and it's because like I have so much nostalgia over just Classics Leo Prime. It's crazy. And then, I mean, just to mention in passing, I never owned any of these as a child or as an adult collector, but the mini cons they released during Classics all have such a different vibe from the ones from the UT. It's so interesting.
The thing is, I'm fairly certain that all of these molds that were released in Classics were originally meant for Cybertron.
Yeah, I
on
think
the
I
tail
read
end
that
of the
too.
line.
Like even then,
Um,
I mean,
But
you
yeah,
have
I'd like to correct something I said earlier where I didn't have much experience with the minicons. I did, just not in these decos.
Did you get
The two bottom middle pictures I didn't have at all as a kid, but for the rest of them, the other four sets, I did have the Kmart exclusive 12 pack from Universe 08. I eventually got rid of it because I was missing too many parts and some of them broke. And
You have no idea how that 12 pack has been living in my mind rent free for like on and off for like 16 years. I need it.
All of them are so interesting, but like I think the mold that Firebot in the second top picture used is probably my favorite. It's just so cool. My least favorite would probably be the ones used for either Sledge or Broadside. Sledge, just because that mold falls apart super easy, and Broadside can't stand up.
Oh, Broadside looks fun though. I'm kind of disappointed to get that, but yeah.
Broadside cannot stand up. He flops over immediately because he has no feet.
Yeah,
Oh my!
it's just panels.
Funny thing though, like in the very first G1 nostalgia line, I love seeing like all these names that are like, oh yeah, that's just all. Most of these are like copyright, to keep the trademarks, and that's really funny.
Yeah,
I mean that's what they were doing for years, anyways. But like still, it's like so interesting because like you got, I mean not all of them. You got like a Night Scream. Was Night Scream? Yeah. But like
Night Scream was from Beast Machines.
Swoop, Pterosaur. Grindor to Minicon, right? Strong Arm, Dive Bomb, Sledge, Broadside. It's like, man, most of these are just copyrighted, and I think that's neat they were still doing it even back then. But
what I'm realizing just now is I didn't have all of these specific figures as a kid, but I have owned at least one of every single mold that here besides Firebot and Wide Load.
Firebot does look really good, man.
Speaking of Wide Load, back in our Chug wishlist episode, and Runestone mentioned Landfill, and I mentioned the Minicom Body Block, or I think that was his name. It was a repaint of Wide Load up there, that one.
Or as you called it, the one with the wheel titties.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him right here. You can see him from space.
I gotta say that these minicons, if nothing else, all these minicons have fairly interesting transformations to them. Although the Grindor minicon, the monster truck looking one, is very reminiscent of Beast Machine's Blast Charge.
I'm still getting over the fact that Runestone said titties.
I'll pay for your therapy pills, don't worry.
Okay.
But yeah, Grindor is a fantastic mold. I had actually maybe Grindor may have been Body Block.
Oh man, Grindor. Grindor is a tragedy from my childhood because the way he transforms, the bottom parts of his legs / the front of the truck mode are really easy to fall off and lose.
Really?
And for me, they were because they're not pinned; they're just friction connections.
Hmm.
And so I lost the front part, and it sucks because it was one of my favorite minicons as a kid.
For me, the one with parts easy to lose is the helicopter mold dive bomb. I lost an entire arm and both tail fins. I lost the entirety of makeshift, the oil slick repaint.
Oh
Well-
man, Oil Slick is one that I know I had as a kid, but I can't find anywhere.
Yeah, and when I look for him online, I can't find a set with makeshift either. So it looks like everyone's lost him.
You see, Kit, you see, the I think it's Dread Wing, the Eagle minicon or Bird minicon, or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you own a version of that one by any chance?
No.
I do. I had the brown version.
A bunch of the aerial minicons have wings to legs transformations, and you know how much I love it when they do that.
The best one of them is Steelwind over there. I had the repaint of him in purple. I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
Oh,
The cockpit and the front half of the wings rotate around so that the cockpit ends up as his feet.
That is
it is a really interesting. It's a really interesting transformation.
I'd love to see a bigger version of it.
Oh, I
It
had
does give him clown shoes though.
I had a repaint of Thunderwing as a child. Probably when I was about because around 2010, with Generations
Was it the-
2010 with the
Was it the
Rider-
all gray one?
yeah,
Yeah, I had that
Flash.
one too. I had
Bolt
that one too.
Flash.
Bolt Flash. Oh my,
Bolt Flash.
what a name. Yeah, it was an interesting.
Oh,
movie. The thing is,
I remember the purple repaint's name. It was Skyhammer. Skyhammer.
Skyhammer. Oh wow, I have to look this up now.
Man, this has just become the reminiscing about minicons episode now.
Yes,
We should do a minicon episode.
I think the minicons and classics were a very understated part because all how many of there are, all 18 of these I know through Takara and Takara's own stuff, Universe stuff, they just kept spanning it out to Age of Extinction.
You know what I think it is?
And there's so many ways to get repaints of them that I really should look into it just for the sake of owning these molds I wanted as a child.
I feel like these probably flew under the radar because at the time, the adult collectors didn't really care about them because obviously they were just minicons. They weren't the thing that was the thing that was big about classics was obviously the remakes of old characters, and that was the sort of the first time they were doing it, except for all the other times they did it. But the minicons, I think, were a massive part of the line for the people who actually grew up with these toy lines because they were just so affordable.
Oh yeah, exactly. Even once sold on their own, you could have gotten one for $2 to $3 a pop or something at a place like Dollar General or something, Dollar General Family Tree here in the US.
Yeah.
I think we've probably exhausted everything we could talk about these minicons.
I feel like
we should probably save them for a
Yeah.
minicon special episode.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the deluxes, and I believe that they're arranged alphabetically. So we're starting with Astro Train and Bumblebee. Astro Train is, honest to God, I think the first classics toy I got as a kid, and whoo boy, is he cool. I didn't get Bumblebee until 2 years ago, and he's really cool too. But my Bumblebee, his leg was assembled backwards, so he couldn't transform properly. I remember my mom having to help me with an ice pick to drive out the freaking pin in his knee or whatever. I eventually got it fixed, but man, that was a weird time.
Yeah, so I actually own both of these molds, but I own them in different things. I have Bumblebee for Cliffjumper, so I'll talk about them later. But I have a Henkei Astro Train. Such a fun triple changer. I feel like this is not necessarily what a triple changer should be. I think triple changers can be fun being complex, but just the fact that you can take this, I have them in shell mode, right? And literally, I do a handful of things, not even 10 steps, probably, right? Just fumbling around. Do I have the gun?
Yeah.
Oh,
For a triple changer, Astro Train, Classics Astro Train that is, holds up shockingly well, I think.
I'd
you know,
go as far to call him the platonic ideal of a triple changer.
because all three modes, part of why I think it's so successful is that all three modes are equally compromised. Like no particular mode suffers for being a triple changer. They all look fairly convincing.
I would
Like,
not call a single mode on this mold bad. Like, honestly, I think the train mode is kind of goofy in terms of, like, you know, you have this big, like, well, the thruster's cool, but the S trains always had thrusters. But like the whole, you can tell it's like the shuttle upside down, but like it kind of owns it, and it's like really cool. And also it has like 6 caster wheels on pins, and it's like this is like one of the smoothest figures I've ever owned. Just like everything on it feels smooth, like texture wise, transformation, the fact that it like rolls so smoothly, it's really good. And
I have to say, it probably plays to this figure's strengths that they changed his train mode from a steam locomotive to a bullet train, because the shapes of bullet trains really blends well with that of a space shuttle, because both of them are known for going really fucking fast.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I will say I never owned this figure, but I am one thing I note about it is that it's bloody impressive that it was repainted like 10 years later as the Japanese as Shoki. Yeah,
I would definitely be interested in both the Henkei and the Shoki versions.
Yeah, you have to get the Hen. I think that here's the thing: Classics is like the one time I've ever not preferred, but I've ever really clicked with white Astro Train over gray and purple Astro Train. But like Henkei does the really cool thing where basically you get a purple train and then you get a gray shuttle, and it's like, oh, it's so clever whenever they do that with Triple Changer, and he doesn't stride.
I mean, if I did ever get Henkei Astro Train, it would not be the first figure I've double dipped in that regard, as we'll see later.
Yeah. Again, I was about to say it, but it just makes me wonder where Octane went wrong, or Octone, whatever. Tankor. They call him Tankor in the universe.
They called him Tankor,
I haven't owned the mold, but I've heard very bleh things about him from people, or like just in general. That seems kind of the vibe. But Astro Train's like, he's really good. It makes me like, what happened?
Tankor's arms are crap. That's where he went wrong.
You're just
Tankor is painfully mediocre.
And then they made Blitzwing a Voyager like 6 years later. So
I really wish they had made a deluxe size Blitzwing back then, just to round out the set. It would have been so interesting to see how they would have pulled it off using the design methods of the time.
It's really weird because
I mean, like, even though the Astro Train holds up pretty well, he still has some really weird like design choices. Like, for instance, he has Energon hips.
Yeah.
He's not the only figure with Energon hips in this line, but there's only 2 of them. So it's just weird that you're still finding these strange hips.
I don't actually hot take. I don't think they're actually all that bad on Astro Train.
Oh, definitely not. They're not as limited as some other figures might be. Jetfire. But yeah, it's just still weird to see them this late.
No, I know, like, by the time they were like fully gone.
It's like finding a fossil of a lungfish in the Jurassic or something.
But yeah, Astro Train, freaking great figure. Yeah. I wholeheartedly like recommend him to any of you guys that haven't messed with him or like his redecos. Like both the listeners and you, the 3 of you. But I know Kid has them, and I know you have them. I think for him.
And keep in mind that this is back when deluxes were $9.99, I believe. So just think how much value you were getting for your money at the time.
Yeah. I think the general consensus with this whole line is like, I am mildly impressed by this when I got it in 2021. I think, in 2022. My mistake. I can't imagine what it would have been like for like 20 somethings in like 2006 to have seen a figure like this, picked it up, and be like, whoa, like it must have been such a not shock, but like such a like wow. We can
Yeah,
have
when I remember when I got it, it was one of the coolest figures in my collection. I was just like, you mean to tell me this thing has 3 modes and one of them is a spaceship?
I think my biggest issues with Astro Train, and they're nitpicks, all things considered, is that the way the bullet train nose halves slide out and to reveal his arms, they don't actually lock into place, and they're pretty easy to collapse. Also, bullet train mode looks a bit rough at the back, but again, I'll say it again, he holds up remarkably well for a triple changer. And as for Bumblebee, well,
Oh, Bumblebee still holds up, let me tell you that.
no, yeah.
Bumblebee is the main. It's Bumblebee to this day is still the main Bumblebee of my collection. I never need another Bumblebee. I just have the one Bumblebee.
He's just so perfect and so stylish, and his transformation is so slick. I just enjoy his aesthetic so much, and the little wave rider thing turns into a jetpack, and that's cool. And he doesn't even need a gun or anything. He's just packed with ball joints and is just super, super duper cute.
It's such a great mold. I can't talk about the Bumblebee Deco. I don't own it. I have the other one we'll talk about and probably like right up next. But as a mold, so just like charming. It's such a charming mold, and like it's a very weird way to say
Charming
it.
is exactly the word I would use for it.
It's a very cute mold. It's like it's got so it's like every time I pick it up, I get a big smile on my face, and like not a lot of older figures do that in like the aw cute kind of way, but like this mold does it. And the whole wave crusher thing, I wish more Bumblebees would do this, like just to like make it feel more like a camper car that like Volkswagen does with their Beetles. It's so genius, dude.
And I believe he was designed to look like he was wearing like a baggy sweater and big shoes, and I think that really, really comes across in the mold. He looks like he's wearing a hoodie.
It's a very like Floro Deary 86 movie hot rod collared shirt kind of thing that like I wish we had more more show up as more subtle details on Transformers more often. And like this guy doesn't strides.
How do you make a robot look like he's wearing clothes when it's just car parts?
It's really good.
How do you succeed at that?
And also, this looks deco wise, it just looks fantastic. Like with you never think Bumblebee would wear white well, but like no, he wears it again in spades on this mold. It's crazy.
It's kind of funny. The more I look at this figure, the more I think he's like that one stoner friend you play Xbox with, That's what the design exudes to me.
I guess on the topic,
he's Badger.
Have you guys ever seen that third party literally called Bumblebee that turns into a Volkswagen, and it's just like a reskin basically of this figure?
I haven't seen that, but honestly, I don't think it. I honestly think that having it turn into a Volkswagen kind of cheapens it slightly, because it doesn't need to be a Volkswagen.
Yeah, if anything, just the regular old hatchback works a lot better for Bumblebee. It just makes him look more sporty. Like between Volkswagen, Camaro / muscle sports car, and generic hatchback, I would take generic hatchback every day of the week. And it's not just because I drive one.
No, I get it.
So
I was just gonna say it's because it's weird. It's like Volkswagen almost has like the reason the Volkswagen originally worked is because it was the generic hatchback of its day, but now it's like it's become its own thing. It's become this whole iconic thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I watched the Super Bowl when it was on, and there was a Volkswagen ad, and it was just full of classic Beatles in the advertisement. And I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't include a clip from the Bumblebee movie, because like they were just really banking on how iconic the design is.
Volkswagen gets very weird about Transformers.
Also, by the way, I have posted in our group chat on Discord the AC Toys Bumblebee G1 animation version that I was talking about.
Are you sure that's not just a custom?
No,
Yeah, that looks like a custom.
it's as far as I know, it is a real figure, I believe, and it's like really weird that like it's a thing that exists.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool, I guess. I don't know. It's just nowhere near as stylish
Yeah,
as the
no,
classics.
I'm entirely agreeing with you too. Like it just kind of misses the point. No, I'd say it misses because like the whole deal with classics is they weren't doing the whole 1-to-1 thing. Yeah, it was straight up reinventions, but like with a familiar enough design that like people would be like, "Oh, I remember that." And yeah, no, I think the classics design will always remain more endearing. I mean, I don't think that many people even know about the AC Toys one, but it's still such an interesting footnote. Also, I still can't believe Classics Bumblebee has a Funko Pop. That's like really weird that happened a couple years ago.
If I'm not mistaken, the reason why they included that Wave Crusher accessory was because Bumblebee is smaller for a deluxe at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, put him next to a deluxe now, and he's huge.
You see, Classics was doing this sort of thing way before the War for Cybertron trilogy.
I think the Wave Crusher justifies it on account of having like a good number of parts to it and mechanisms, and I think it's fine. Like, and again, it just makes him a better figure, just with the whole turning into a jetpack thing.
You know, another figure that comes with the Wave Crusher.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, wait, never mind. Oh, I guess maybe we're going by wave.
Yeah, that I was going to say, I organized these in wave order, not alphabetical order.
Okay. I'll take the L, but I guess we're talking about Rodimus now.
Rodimus is interesting because he is one of those toys that these days kind of feels obsolete, in my opinion. Because if you ask me, he doesn't have that thing that like Bumblebee did, where he was like, and it like totally embodied the character enough to surpass future editions. He was just the version of Rodimus they did with the technology they had at the time, you know?
I agree completely. I mean, he's cool, but he's definitely not my favorite Rodimus. That would have to be Legends Rodimus.
Legends Rodimus? Oh, right. Yeah. Target Master Hot Rod or Hot Rodimus, whatever they call him. LG.
Yeah. The Titans Return retool.
I hate to be basic, but I'm still partial to my repainted magenta 86 Hot Rod. So, but I never owned Rodimus as a child. Haven't owned any of his repaints as an adult collector. That might hopefully change soon with LA if I see anything that I want. But like,
listen. In the last box that I got from Transformerland, I got Timeline Sideburn. Basically just this hot rod in blue and white, and it is sublime.
That was also the call.
If you really want any version, I'd say go for the timeline Sideburn.
Yeah. Timeline Sideburn is a figure you need in your collection.
Don't forget that was also the call where you figured out where I taught you about Gente Wild Rider.
Oh yeah, Wild Rider. I mean he's cool, but in terms of how cool he is compared to Classics Rodimus and Timeline Sideburn, he'd probably come in third place.
Something interesting something about this figure is actually I went through 2 of this figure as a kid because I actually broke off the chest from the head because that's a weak point. Because the whole chest section is attached to where the head joint is attached to where the head folds down, and that little pin joint broke for me. Yeah. And then I got the second version, which was the one that came in a 2-pack with Cyclonus, and that was the only way I got Cyclonus. So you win some, you lose some.
I would like to get that version of Cyclonus at some point, but I mean, pretty low priority.
Oh, are you talking? This is about Battle in Space, right?
Yeah, the Reveal the Shield one.
Yeah, yes. I was talking to you in that call where you were unboxing your Transformerland thing. I really want that Battle in Space Rodimus or Hot Rod or whatever. I don't know. I really find that deco really pretty.
Well, it is pretty, but I do prefer the more muted color scheme of the Classics version.
Fair enough.
Well,
it just makes the mold look better.
I think I dig the color breakup on Battle in Space a fair bit more. Like taking a look at it, real.
Yeah, I prefer this Rodimus's deco to the battle. What is it? Battle in Space.
Battle in Space and Challenge at Cyber. Challenge at
Yeah.
Cybertron was the first one. That one came with a Galvatron, but Galvatron's for another episode.
Is that the one with the really bad, bright baby blue windows, or
Yeah.
is that one Battle in Space?
No. That's both of them because
Oh shit!
the Chug windows, if you want to call it that. Ahead
Yeah.
of its time.
On a side note, this whole thing that they're doing with the new figures, like in an attempt to make them more cartoon accurate, painting the windows bright blue. I personally think that's a really ugly color choice, in my opinion. I just prefer a solid.
Definitely. I would prefer something like black or gunmetal or something.
I think you can literally still do it in blue. Just add a little bit of a metallic tint to it. That's it.
I would at least prefer they darken the blue.
That's fair too. I think bright blue helps because they're with Chug they usually go for very saturated cartoonish colors, which is like fit, makes sense. But like again, the flat just like it sticks out as really ugly. Like this is like I'm preaching to the choir, but like just use like a metallic something, or like you said, a darker color. It's that easy.
Universe Ironhide maxing.
Oh,
as a mold. As a mold, I gotta say that Rodimus is fairly middle of the road. He's nothing special, but for his time, I just think he works.
Yeah, he's all right. I wish he had like a thigh swivel or anything. Classics was really bad about having figures just rotate at under the knee, because like if you're gonna do that, what is the point? What do you get out of a shin rotation?
It's a very unserious point of articulation. Especially, like, I understand if it's for the transformation, but, like, I'm still fiddling with Astrotrain here, right? That's his articulation joint.
Yeah, I mean, but, like, it only looks good when he's standing stock straight up, and you just want the feet out just a few degrees. But if you bend the knee, you don't get anything out of it. And his legs just don't really go out very easily either. They look weird. But this is one of the first toys that I can think of where the hip skirt is just the hip, and that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, overall, Rodimus seems pretty alright from what I've seen. Maybe I will scope out like Battle in Space at TFCon. We'll see. Just so I can like say I've actually messed with the mold.
Yeah, a lot of the classics molds they haven't really aged the best in terms of articulation, or at least most of them haven't. We'll get to a certain one in a bit.
Yeah. I guess my final observation about Rodimus is I just like the way that his back fins work. They have a whole like swivel system and everything. I like it.
Yeah, I really like that transformation.
All right, so I guess we're moving on to Earthrise. I mean, classic Starscream.
The toy's so good they sold it to you 20 times,
and then they sold it to you like 10 times, like 15 years later.
Yeah.
Oh,
what can we even say about classic Starscream?
It feels like. It is a mold that feels like it's above everything else in terms of like sheer influence. Like it looks down on the rest of like Chug and Transformers. It's like it's like a totem pole of Chug.
I remember for the longest time, PL used a classic Seeker as his size comparison benchmark, just because he was dead certain everyone had at least one.
No, it's like, dude, yeah. If you were just like a retail only collector, you had like this Starscream, Skywarp, Generations Thundercracker, all free cone heads. I don't remember if there was any more at retail.
There was Universe Starscream, which is actually
there was Universe Starscream. Oh, don't forget Acid Storm, and then I think it was just those 8. But then you throw in like Takara and Bakkan, and it's like
yeah. Let me. I might as well just pull up slide 16. Here we go.
Yeah.
31 uses of the mold.
God.
Yeah. In what only in the classics era could you somehow have like free thrusts.
Oh yeah, there were 3 thrusts. Oh my god. Holy crap.
But yeah, I don't know what more there is to say. But I guess I'll bring this up now, just like as like a short thing. But how do you guys feel about the deco on classic Starscream, and also kind of broadly like the kind of changes they made to like certain characters' decos? Like we talked about Bumblebee a minute ago. We'll definitely talk about some other ones later. How do you feel about the changes they made?
I mean, it definitely works as a Starscream. The gray is a little flat and makes parts of him look a little cheap, just because like details wash out. Like his face is pretty nondescript on this version of the mold, just because it's just this flat, dull gray. But like if you're talking about like the wing design, I really like that. I like the blue stripe running all the way down the fuselage. The red and the blue are kind of dull, but that was kind of the whole vibe of the classics line. His gold is applied a little weakly. They could have used another coat or something like that. And he has some silver, which pops nice, but yeah, he doesn't look bad. I just wish the gray was a little more I guess textured would be the word.
I think I get what you mean. You can see Universe 08 in the back, and it's like if it was like somewhere in between Classics and Universe 08, I think it'd be really good. Because then on the other hand, like Classics is not Classics. Universe 08's way too bright. Like it's bordering on white, which is like we never really get Starscreams that border on being white, and it looks really weird for.
Yeah.
I mean, I have it in my hands right now. It is just white.
Okay, it is just white. It's crazy.
I might want to get the white version at some point, but again, really low priority for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other thing about this figure is that the mold was degrading pretty heavily at that point in time.
And they still used it for another 10 years.
Yeah.
I think
like I have to use blue tack to have the null rays stay in the arms.
I believe the last use was that G2 Ramjet. I think that maybe. I don't know.
I think it was around the same time as BotCon 2013. I think that was the last use, because they're not shown in this picture, but it was Bitstream, Hotlink, and I believe Sunstorm were the last 3 uses of this.
They called them their
I think it was G2 Starscream that was the last used as part of the subscription service.
They made a G2 Starscream?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's not pictured in here, but they did a G2 Starscream for the subscription service.
Alec Tech asked about Nacelle. I think Nacelle was before this. I think he was around 2010, 2011-ish.
No, I think maybe Nacelle was the last. I'm gonna do some. I'm just looking some stuff up in the background.
I'm just assaulting everyone with my keyboard.
In terms of the mold.
2015. Holy crap. Maybe you're onto something.
Nacelle was also... No, wait. G2 Starscream was 2015. And also
Nacelle was also 20... Man, G2 Starscream looks really good. I might have to get that someday.
Dude, they got freaking timelines or, Collectors Club got their mileage out of this mold. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Actually,
yeah, the mold is probably the most limited in terms of its articulation, because it hasn't got any swivels in the arms or in the wrists, or
the arms. In the case of, he can't even point the guns forward.
Yeah, because the wings. If it's Starscream, that's because the wings block the null rays.
Yeah, because they're so freaking big.
And also, go on.
I forgot Earthrise was the one that actually decided to make the wings articulate backwards, and it's yeah, I forgot as a kid. I didn't have any regular Seekers as a kid. The only one use of this mold I had growing up was Generations Thrust, and I remember having to partially transform the wings just so he could point his null rays forward, or whatever thrust cannons are called.
I'm gonna transform my Starscream right now.
I will say, one thing I quite like about this figure is the trick they used to make the chest canopy was very clever.
Yes.
for its time. It was a very interesting way of having the same piece move in a completely different way than you would imagine, but ending up in the same spot, so you get the same effect.
God, my Starscream's joints are so scary tight.
Ugh. Ew, oh, that sucks. Well, yeah, I find it really hard to just talk about like this mold because it feels like such a I don't know.
It feels like it transcended the realm of it feels like it transcended the realm of Transformers figures and just entered the realm of general pop culture memorabilia type thing.
Yeah,
You
it's so hard to talk about just this figure without talking about everything else around it and after it. Ugh. God, why is this toy so stiff?
Also, just a random thought as we're going through these. Starscream definitely is like the most faithful to his original design, right? Like he does not skew too far. If we're just talking about like the mold, it's kind of surprising, like having the figures I own from the line out, as well as like starting to go through the list of figures in this line. It's not something I expected.
Here we are. Oh man.
I'm
Oh,
only
man.
just
Look at that.
noticing. I'm only just noticing on my copy of Universe Starscream, the paint on his face actually they made a mistake, and the paint actually goes onto his forehead as well.
That's insane.
And was Universe 08's QC just non-existent or something?
Yeah, Universe
That's so
08 Starscream was notorious for being pretty bad.
Kind of a shame because again, I actually think the deco is like really nice. I think the figure looks nice. I think the bordering on white thing is kind of throwing me off a little bit, but like that was like one of the first figures that was like, oh, you have to wonder with Universe 2.0 Starscream if they like made that figure just because they were like, we might have messed the deco off on classics, like sorry. Like that must have been like one of the first times they ever did something like that.
Yeah, and look where it's gotten them.
Assuming that any of the people that worked on classics will be at LA for TFCon, I would love to ask actually now because I'm genuinely really curious.
Well, one more thing I'd like to say about Starscream. Something I think is quite clever is the way that the chest intakes become the landing gear. That's actually kind of clever, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good use of parts.
God, dude, the jet mode looks so good. Again, I had the Frost mold, so he had the truncated cockpit, but they have like the longer one. Looks so nice.
Let me see. Here we are. Yes. Back in the right spot. Oh, man. I'm having to break my own fingernails just to get his fucking fists out. Holy shit.
Yeah. That stunk. That really stunk. I remember that, too.
I'm probably going to be at this for the rest of the fucking podcast.
So then, are you guys ready to move on to the?
And the thing is,
sorry.
And the thing with Starscream is that, his nose cone was stuck to the back of his head.
Yeah, but to be fair, it didn't really inhibit his articulation any, in my experience, because it would just he'd be looking into the side of his own shoulder pauldrons. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Yeah.
If you felt danger.
Sorry. Go ahead, Rune.
Go on. I was just going to say that if you.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, I just going to quickly say that if you're living dangerously, you could use the nose cone as leverage to turn the head.
That's what I do by default.
I can only do that on about half of my Seekers. Can't get away with it on Starscream, for instance. Actually, no. Starscream's neck joint is pretty free.
Okay, yeah, I think we might have to move on because otherwise we're going to spend the whole night talking about Starscream.
Yeah. All right, back to Cliffjumper. Looks like we're on wave 2, I suppose. Cliffjumper, he is between him and Bumblebee, he is my favorite version of the mold. There is a little nostalgia to it because I was a big fan of Night Slash 2020's stop motions back in the day, and Cliffjumper had a very very heroic sacrifice and ended up giving his life to save Bumblebee. And he just looks cooler. I mean, look at the deco on the car mode. It's the red and the silver. Man, that silver really pops on him.
It's a thing where I vastly prefer to repaint to the original version. Bumblebee's great, but Cliffjumper wears this mold like it's his own, and also the head just is perfect. You don't need to like buy a third party alternate head or whatever. It's just
it's just him. It's him.
He is him. He's him.
And like the smirk that they molded onto it works so much better for Cliffjumper than it does for Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the kid appeal character, whereas Cliffjumper has always been more cocky.
Oh yeah, so he just wears it so well. And the best thing is I would keep it regardless, but like I think it's cool that this guy does kind of have long lasting appeal because he is the Cliffjumper that like goes with your Shattered Glass figures. Like there's always going to be a reason to keep him around, no matter what, and I think that's neat.
What I think is neat that he was the main character in Ultraman SSS.
Oh yeah, SSS Gridman is. I mean, I watched the show. I should know that, but like you know, the whole thing about he's the guy. He's Yuta. Yuta's main character turns into Gridman and stuff. His whole design based on him. His shoes are literally just the car mode and stuff. So there will always be a market for this guy, also based on that as well. It's crazy how like this is like one of the classics toys that has like the most long lasting appeal, just from like a historical perspective.
Yeah, who would have thought the afterthought repaint
was like, yeah, no, honestly, but like good for him, you know, like honestly, because like it's so cool that like random repaints back in the day could have such like long lasting memories, can leave such long lasting memories in like the minds of collectors that grew up with him.
So how many people do you think out there are making custom hands just so he can flip people off?
I wish, but based on how the mold works, I feel like that would be you gotta like punch a pin out.
To get the fingers, to get the hands out, you have to punch a pin, and then how does it work?
I don't really know. I'm not gonna. I hate to say I'm not gonna try and figure it out, but like the fists are.
Do the wrists even rotate?
No,
they don't.
The fists.
They are separate pieces, though. I believe that the forearm clamps them shut, and then like the actual wrist is what the doors swing around on. I mean, obviously, but
it's. Man, I all this time I just kind of assumed that he did have a wrist swivel, but no, he doesn't.
No, don't. When I got this from the Toy Fu, like online thing they did back in like 2021, I also thought they did the same. It took me a while to figure it out. They didn't. So I mean, this is fun.
Yeah. Good lord.
And then there's Grimlock.
Okay, I am going to break from the crowd with this one. I really like this toy, and for one specific reason.
What's that?
He scales perfectly with Iron Factory toys. Perfectly.
I mean, if that's your prerogative, I guess.
Listen. If you instead of thinking of him as a deluxe class Grimlock, you think of him as an ultra size Cyberverse Grimlock. He's great in my opinion. I don't know. I have like this strange love for this toy. I know it's weird, but it's for some reason it just really clicks for me.
It's nothing to do with the size that I don't like him. It's just he just doesn't feel good. His design is cool. I like that he's completely different from every other Grimlock ever, and his transformation is super interesting. But fuck, man, he doesn't hold together at all.
Yeah.
Nothing locks in. He's not going to mug anyone.
Also, his legs seem really weirdly proportioned.
Yeah, a little bit.
I will say that is partially because the way the transformation works, the actual knee is lower than where it looks like it is, because he's wearing like giant boots.
Even then, his shins are still way too long.
Yeah. I really regret that I didn't get the Overkill. I remember seeing the Overkill repaint of this in a comic shop once, and I so regret not getting it when I had the chance.
I have it. It ain't much to look at.
I just think it's cool.
I've been kind of quiet about Grimlock because I've never owned the mold, never owned any repaints of it, but I still have a kind of a fascination with it to own it and maybe repaint it. I have a custom I'd want to do from it. So, that being Grimlock's Pretender Shell colors, because this figure takes a lot of inspiration from the Pretender Shell for some reason in a great way, with like the off-centered chest and whatnot. So. Yeah, maybe if I see one for cheap at a room sale at TF Con or something like Friday night before the actual convention, I'll pick it up. Like, why not?
Yes, I do. Join the cult of classics Rimlock.
I have to say though, his transformation is freaking sweet. I just wish that he had like any sort of functional locking tabs.
You own Overkill, don't you?
Yes, I do. He's no better. And honestly, I kind of prefer Grimlock's colors. Like Overkill's it's interesting just to have a deluxe size Overkill, you know. But you know, Grimlock wears the mold better, just by nature of being Grimlock.
Have any of you seen the Henke version?
No.
No, I'm actually gonna look it up because I was like actually really curious to see how that looks.
God, that looks hideous. Like only the body on that figure in Dynamo that is. Only the body is chromed. Everywhere else, it's still just.
Oh, jeez, man. Okay, that's.
Oh yeah, that's garish.
Man, Transmetal Grimlock.
with eyes and weapons bordering on orange. I don't think I've ever seen that for a G1 Grimlock before.
It looks like a fucking knockoff.
I don't hate it, but I prefer classics still.
I'm just shocked they didn't do like cartoon colors or anything.
I mean, it sort of is cartoon colors. Sort of. There's a lot more. There's a lot of gold, like proper gold. But actually, the American release has a more involved color scheme, surprisingly.
What I'm surprised by with this figure is that it wasn't the figure they chose to release as part of it wasn't the figure they chose to re-release as part of the Age of Extinction line. Because remember they did the new versus classics box sets?
Yeah, and they picked Energon Grimlock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for some reason.
Probably just because it was bigger.
Does that mean there's just like a pile of like in some like landfill out in the middle of nowhere? There's like a pile of like unused swoops.
I don't know, but yeah. I was checking the wiki to see if they retooled the transformation parts out, and they didn't. Just how it is.
How interesting.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
They also did Shattered Glass Grimlock, where he was decoed after Triptychon.
Yeah, that version at least looks more interesting, just by nature of being a different color scheme.
And they did two overkills. A Bach.
Oh yeah, one was a custom class, wasn't it?
Yep, and then the other one was however that whole overkill thing was, the whole like special edition.
It was sold in like a special box that had like the opening window.
Oh, okay. So in the US, this was a Hasbro Toy Shop release, and then it just went to Marshall's for clearance price. That's funny.
Shows how well it sold, I guess. Whose computer was that?
Mine.
We should probably move on to a figure that we probably have a lot more positive feelings towards.
All right.
I believe it is, yes, Mirage.
Oh man.
Mirage, one of the best figures in the
Ooh.
line, and not just because he turns into an open-wheeled race car.
Wish I could say again. I wish I could say I've owned this figure, but no, it's completely passed me by for like past 18 years of my life.
I
I've
have
had-
I have the drag strip repaint.
That's the
No.
one that I'm missing. I'm missing that one. I need to find it at some point soon.
I mean, if you want to negotiate a trade,
Maybe after the
yeah,
seminar.
perhaps.
So we were. I did bring up the fact that a lot of the classics toys haven't aged the best in posability. This one, on the other hand, holds up holds up like you wouldn't believe.
He is still by far and away the best Mirage.
An unfortunately low bar. in my
Oh.
opinion.
Now you guys are gonna make me pick up what's next, Chi 2 or the Machine Wars Mirage. Are you guys gonna make me grab that now at LA?
I mean, the green kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but,
I'm
the
not
mold
gonna-
is superb.
I think
I don't count BotCon and timeline stuff when it comes to completing a mold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like a bonus. So
Listen, the
I'm
best
not.
Mirage,
I'm
the
not.
best Mirage that turns into an open wheeled race car of all time is RID Mirage.
Yeah,
What,
fair.
the Spy Changer?
Yes.
No, he's not. Oh wait.
Yeah, he's a spy changer.
Oh, Mirage. I forgot. Mirage is the spy
You would think
changer.
it's- yeah, and then the Skid Z.
or Skid Z or whatever is the bigger, slightly bigger guy, right? Got big.
Yeah. Kind of weird, and they never interacted in the show.
No. See, I don't think I don't know. I like Kingdom Mirage enough that like I wouldn't go back and get the classics one necessarily, but oh, come off it. Come on. But the either BotCon hologram Mirage or Electro Disruptor Leger, I think I'd be down to buy those because they're all transparent or whatnot. No, again,
Anyways.
I'll post this one in the group chat. It's crazy they had it in them to make like all clear toys like this back in the day.
Yeah,
Like-
that is really cool, but just not for me.
Fair enough.
Is there even a single opaque part on that toy?
It genuinely does not look like it.
Nice.
Holy crap. Talk about playing with fire.
Wait, what toy? You just posted a white image. I see 4 pins and a rub sign.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
But yeah, I got Classics Mirage a few years ago, and he honestly blew me away. He's super posable. When Runestone was teasing his review of this way back when, he put out a challenge saying what could be the most articulated Transformer ever made, or something
You
like
remember that?
Yeah, dude, I watched your videos like religiously. I remember more than you have forgotten.
Oh dear.
Encyclopedic knowledge of Runestone's library in my head. When I was opening my last box, I had Revenge of the Fallen Dead End in it, and as I was opening it, I was just like, okay, I hope this figure doesn't jump scare me.
Okay, so something I've noticed about the drag strip repaint, at least in my experience, is that the figure has a tendency to just fall in half at the mushroom peg that
Oh.
connects the torso to the legs.
I think that's just a product of mold degradation, because I hear Crasher has really loose joints, even on official copies, because this mold was knocked off to shit and back. But my Classics Mirage holds up really well. He's super solid.
So yeah, I think maybe I should do myself some service and like just grab it one or something.
But yeah, I would just like to nerd out for a minute and mention that Classics Mirage is by no means a Formula One car. He looks nothing like a Formula One car. I mean, besides the fact that he's an open-wheeled single-seater race car, he has far more what's the word? Resemblance to a modern Indy car, especially now that Indy cars have windshields now. Of course, the cockpit is still open at the top, which is not something that Mirage does. But yeah, it's kind of weird that his cockpit is closed because how the hell is the driver going to get out in a crash?
Oh no.
They'll die.
I mean, they can have like explosive bolts or something.
I mean, when the rest of the car is exploding. Just ask Roman Grosjean. A lot can happen in a crash. Yeah, Matt R75 Mirage is hands down the best figure of Classics 2006. I would probably have to agree. Even though Cliff Jumper is sort of my favorite, Mirage is definitely the best.
I would debate that, but we will talk about that figure later on.
Is it a certain Voyager?
It is a certain Voyager.
I see.
But it's not the boy. It's not actually the Voyager you're thinking of.
I mean, there's only 3, so.
And as for Ramjet,
yeah, back to the Seeker talk, I guess.
Okay. Since we're back on the Seekers, I guess I'll just mention as the resident plane nerd, the jet mode, not Ramjet, but Starscream and the base Seeker mold, they're pretty decent F-15, all things considered. Yeah, under chest kibble is there, and it's obviously not accurate, but you know what? For the limitations they had, it's a decent F-15 transforming robot at deluxe scale.
Yeah. He looks pretty cool. I like the deco, as always. It's a very non-G1 deco. The red, as opposed to what it looks like in the picture on my copy, is very dull. More like the kind of reddish brown that you'd find from a leaking wound after 5 days.
Oh,
You know?
what?
And the gold is a bit more on the bronze side. I keep trying not to say broadside. The white is very eggy, and I'm not sure if I like that.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It works a lot better in person than I'm describing, but it's still kind of weird for a ramjet.
So my thing with Ramjet, I've never owned Ramjet either, but I've owned Frost, and I don't know how to feel about the fact that the nose cone is like actually the head. Because on one hand, that means it's not a faux part like Earthrise and no G1 was also the actual nose cone like though. But like on the other hand, it just means excuse my language, but the front of the nose cone on a play mode feels a bit chodish.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, he's probably just cold.
Oh.
He's a grower, not a shower. But his missiles are a lot girthier than Starscream's, and he can actually point them forward, so he knows how to use them.
Yep.
How much more innuendo can we get here?
So yeah, I don't know, man. Just like
maybe I should have called his white cummy.
Oh, get out of here!
If only they've done.
You can't fire me. I have tenure.
True.
We all have tenure, Kit.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
But yeah, no, just like it's still a good deco. But again, I'm always more Ramjet's kind of always the most boring conehead. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I don't really jive with him as much, so
yeah.
I think the generations Frost and Dirge we got like 5 years, no, not 5, like 4 years after this, I think fared a lot better in terms of the looks of the partner.
I gotta
Dope.
say, out of all 7 mainline Seekers, he's the only one with different missiles, and I don't particularly like him. They're a lot heavier, and they don't fire as well.
I was
There is no
Yeah.
version of Ramjet that comes. So go on.
No, yeah, you're right. It just came to me that like Generations Frost uses like the regular secret null rays
And Dirge.
and Urge.
Whereas the Bakan ones just reused Ramjet's missiles for better
Yeah,
or
and then-
worse.
And then Dirge was just a Ramjet repaint.
Yeah, Jesus.
God, that Bakan 2007 set.
We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
You know, just one last thing on Ramjet, and this might be a little off topic. Looking at the engine arrangement on Classics Ramjet, with four jet engines all side by side, puts me in mind of the XB70, which if you're watching right now, if you want to see an aircraft that looks like it was photoshopped, look up the XB50. And specifically from behind, and you can see XB70. My apologies.
Oh my word, that looks fake as fuck.
The North American XB70 Valkyrie?
Yeah, and you can see just the way the engines are arranged. That Ramjet reminded me of that because
What
of
engines?
the 4 all in a row.
How interesting. Oh my god. But yeah.
All right.
That's all the deluxes, right? Well, all the mainline deluxes.
There's one more deluxe slide, and it's one set of figures I have actually talked about in some length. So I'm going to take a moment of reprieve and handle some chores while y'all talk about the battle begins or the ultimate battle or whatever.
I had these.
I'll be right back.
I have memories of these toys. I remember I have a specific memory of going to the store with my dad to Toys R Us and getting these figures.
I'll say I've never owned these ones myself either, but boy, did Big Lots and like all the other kind of like budget stores sure love stocking it.
You're not missing out on much.
Even the Megatron looks kind of fun, right? Isn't it?
It's the arm doesn't do him any favors. It's like the quote unquote spinning battle blade just does not do much. The arm it's stiff. There's no elbow. The spinning gimmick doesn't even work half the time. If they had just made it a normal arm, it probably would have been a lot better. I don't know whose idea it was to give them both spinning gimmicks. But whoever it was should probably have been fired.
You know, I rarely bring this up, but I am quite a fan of Masters of the Universe, and I genuinely feel like this is a very Masters of the Universe thing to do, to like have two figures that complement each other with shared gimmicks. You know, this being Optimus's spinning waist and Megatron's spinning arm, and you're supposed to probably like have them fight and stuff, but I doubt it ever worked based on how you're describing it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what they intended because the arm on the spinning part on Megatron was really easy to knock off. So maybe that was what they had in mind. But like, bugger if I know.
I just don't know where they were going with the just with the claw arm in general and stuff. Like no fusion cannon, just the rifle. Also,
But,
every
the
version of this
sad-
figure. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was just going to say the sad fact is that the Megatron is the better figure in that 2-pack.
Yeah.
Is the Megatron really? Or I'm sorry, is the Optimus really that rough?
It's
Yeah.
its truck mode is an abomination.
Oh, I can tell.
Like the legs don't collapse. Like the cab windows stick out further from the rest of the front section. You can make out the arms. It when you pick it up, it flops down like a friggin' noodle. It's terrible.
I'll give
Yeah,
it this. The gun looks neat. If that's anything to go at.
it's an interesting gun. It doesn't belong on Optimus Prime though,
Yeah, if this was like a Nemesis Prime, that would make, I guess, a little bit more sense. But it's not.
and also I don't know what it's supposed to turn into. Some sort of antennae.
I think it's just supposed to be a man turret.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like the gray part is supposed to be like the handles and
So
stuff.
you're telling me this is the only Optimus Prime that turns into a technical?
Yeah.
Shit, now I need to do a custom Al-Qaeda's Prime or something. This figure has a use. We've figured it out.
Also,
I
it has
have a controversial opinion.
Uh-huh.
I think this is one of the coolest Optimus robot modes ever.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I
I
mean,
really like it. It's just it has good proportions. It has good styling, good paint. I dig it. Truck mode sucks. It's trash, but the robot mode is at least cool.
well, yeah, no argument there.
I would say there's I don't agree entirely. I think the head mold is really weird in my opinion. It's kind of long and it's not nearly as heroic as the other Optimus Prime from this toy line. It looks almost nerdy in my opinion, that head. And the robot mode in general to me looks kind of skinny.
I don't know. I think his head sculpt makes really gives off Dad Prime vibes.
It has this really weird gimmick as well, where you press a tab and then you push a button and his upper body spins around for some
The
reason.
Despacito tornado returns.
Are you playing with it now?
Yeah, but it's not working very well.
It never did.
It used to work great. Oh, there it goes. Oh man. For the longest time I didn't know that pulling the tab back actually turned it off. So for like 10 years I just had
Wait,
a
really?
Yeah, for like 10 years I just had a really floppy torso Optimus.
Well, now for 15 years I've had a floppy torso Optimus because I literally just learned that from you.
You should have watched my review, Char.
I'm sorry, I'm not a kit catastrophe completionist.
Damn. But yeah, that Megatron though, he's not much better.
Yeah.
It's just the arm. It's so weird for no reason. It's because they wanted to have a spinning gimmick present on both figures. But like this doesn't really work as like a meaningful gimmick. It at least functions better.
I love hearing all these wind up noises and like buttons you're pressing in the background.
Here we are.
It's helicopter action.
I will say, again, based on your guys' words, I shouldn't get it, but the G2 tank Megatron from Takara's United toy line is really calling my name.
But, I mean, to be fair, the color, it's all in the color scheme, dude. That color scheme fucking slaps.
But like, I know if I want those colors on a better mold, I just buy LG G2 Megatron, and
I was about to mention that one. Yeah, like you don't need it. It's not worth it, ID.
God, that LG G2 Megatron looks beautiful. Anyway, but yeah, no, what an interesting set. Based on what you guys are saying, I should never touch it, and I'll live a happier life for it. But like, I've purchased worse figures, so who knows what will happen.
I don't know. I don't know how much this means now, but at the time, you could get Optimus and Megatron separately as well as in a 2-pack.
They're
Really?
probably not hard to find separate anyway. Just people buying them piecemeal.
I mean,
Forgive me, I'm transforming a fig.
Okay,
Another figure we'll talk about eventually.
Here's a question. Rune, do you remember that this set was advertised having a DVD included, and then the actual set didn't have a DVD?
Yes, it did.
It did have a DVD, yeah.
What?
I had it. It was very bad.
The version I had didn't come with a DVD.
There was a version that didn't come with a DVD, but the main version did.
Oh.
It was just basically like a recap of the Unicron trilogy told by Optimus Prime.
Oh, I thought.
And there was a special feature that was just a product catalog of classics.
Oh. Okay, so I wasn't missing out on much.
Nope. There's a whole page for it on the wiki that goes into all the issues and problems there were in the video. If you want to check that out.
Yeah, I'll give that a look. See what I didn't miss out on.
Yeah, safe to say this set was pretty forgettable, mostly because these two characters were still in the line with much better toys. But it was a vaguely more affordable option if you couldn't afford Voyager class at the time. Granted, I got both, so at least as far as Optimus went. Speaking of, shall we move on?
I think, I think our complete apathy towards this 2-pack is like a good sign to move on to better toys.
All right, Voyager class. We're taking all three at once.
Okay.
Optimus, Megatron, Jetfire.
All right.
But I guess we're starting. I guess we're talking about them in that order.
Okay.
So, Optimus, I can talk about the mold, but again, I can't talk about the specific deco. Oh my god, so ahead of its time, right? Like, it.
Okay, so for the longest time, for basically the majority of my childhood, this was just my Optimus Prime. This was the main Optimus Prime of my collection.
It still is for me.
No, I can't. I imagine it's the same for so many. That are a more like G1 version of the mold, deco wise. Like, I can imagine it being the case for so many people. Like, absolutely.
I mean, the only mold that I think can really challenge it, in my opinion, in the same bracket as Voyager Optimus Prime is Siege Optimus Prime.
Makes sense. Like, I'm gonna run through this real fast. So, like, you had classics, and you had all the like repaints and whatnot, and then it took like 9-10 years to get another Voyager Optimus, and then that was Combiner Wars, and that was a combiner, and then you got a Headmaster.
It's just a Motormaster pre-tool.
Yeah, and then you got the Headmaster in Titan's Return, which was an Octane pre-tool, and then you had the Leader class one in Power to Prime, but that was a Leader class, so it was giant. So, like, for scale people, that wouldn't fit. Then you had Siege, but by the time of Siege, Classics was like 12 years old now. And then you have Verifies, now we got 86 coming out. So we've only had like 4 regular Optimuses in mainline that do no gimmicks other than just being an Optimus Prime. And that's crazy. Like,
yeah, when you put it like that, it is pretty weird, considering he is literally Mr. Transformer himself.
Mr. Cybertron.
But man, what a fucking presence he has. He's so stylish. And he has like some really cool, I hesitate to call it a gimmick, but like just the fact that his weapons turn into truck parts. Like, he has a wind vane, which is something no other Optimus had before him, and it just turns into a big gun. and his smokestacks turn into his famous ion blaster, and it looks cooler than it.
I think the wind vane actually is the ion blaster. Look, if you look at the back of the box.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Something I really like about this Optimus Prime is if you look inside the chest, the seating is molded.
The seats are molded. The wheel is molded. The windshield wipers are there. It's for being a made-up truck, like everything's there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Also,
I remember. I think it was Vangelis's review of Earthrise Optimus, where he said if Classics was remade today, they would have just made the wind vane turn into a shield. And I'm really glad that they didn't do that. They made it like a gun with so many different parts.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. It would have just been a shield.
It would have been a pretty good shield too. It's the right shape.
Yeah. But they were like, no, let's make it a whole gun.
Yeah. And man, that head sculpt. I said that the Deluxe had a pretty good head sculpt because it was Dad Prime, but this head sculpt just straight up looks pissed all the time. Like, this is like, I'm gonna fuck you up, Optimus Prime. I thought you were made of burner stuff, Optimus Prime.
There is I think, a lot of this has to do with reading the ongoing Transformers comic from Skybound. There is an art to making Optimus Prime emotive, and I've never really thought of it with Classics Prime, but I'm like, I have Magnus, right? We'll talk about him later. And I'm just kind of like moving him around to look at his head at different angles, and like, yeah, he always looks pretty freaking angry.
It's all in the brow, really.
Yeah, it's not even the eyes, it's the brim.
Yeah. Optimus Prime with no brim.
What? Question: am I the only one who, as a kid, would have the flaps? Who would like make a flight mode by having the flaps on the legs like fold out?
For me, it was the arms.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's the arm kibble is kind of egregious, but as a kid, I never really saw it as a problem. For some reason, it was just part of Optimus Prime. It was just how he looked.
It was just the thing on his arms.
Yeah. It is kind of weird to like try to look at him from like a lens where you've never seen this toy before and be like, what the hell is on his arms? But like I can't separate myself from where I was when I got him, and I was just like, okay, that's just what he looks like. This is just an Optimus Prime.
That is just Classics Optimus Prime. Like,
yeah. There is one
just Optimus Prime for us.
There is one precedent that this figure really helped set that I think Optimus Prime toys have really suffered from. And really it started with MP1, but this was the first mainline toy to really do it, and it's just the fake grill abdomen. This one does it. The real grill is just on his back and it's huge, and then there's a tiny little sculpted midriff grill. And when was the last time we saw an actual like proper grill abdomen on an Optimus Prime toy?
It's been a minute.
I know there's third-party companies that have done it, but I cannot think of it on like a
like they don't even have to use the entire grill. I just want them to use like at least part of it to be real. I'm tired of always like. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with the fake grill in and of itself. It's just that that's what they default to, and I'm tired of it.
Fair. I just clocked that even like the core class does it.
Yeah, the core class, the Legends class. Yeah. I think the last G1 Optimus Prime that actually had a proper chest grill or a proper grill abs was the aforementioned Deluxe figure.
Yeah, that's one of its high points, I guess. It actually looks good in that mode too. But as we all know, the truck mode was really bad. So they really poured everything into just the one mode. Shall we talk about Megatron then?
Yes, sure. Unless, is Rune here? I was gonna ask because I don't think Rune has said anything about Classics Optimus.
I can't really add much because I think it's just a stellar toy all around. I agree with Kit that I like how the like you said, truck parts become the weapons. Basically the weapons have some level of transformation to them instead of just simply popping off the vehicle and just plugging it onto the figure. And it is, and I also agree that it is one of the more, in hindsight, one of the more aggressive looking Optimus Primes, and it's a wonder that it worked to the advantage of certain redecos, which I guess I'll be talking about in the Q&A section. But anyway, on to Megatron.
Okay.
I mentioned earlier that I double dipped on one Classics toy in both Classics and Henkei, and that toy is Megatron. I got the Classics version first, and it is an absolutely stellar deco. But for the sake of completeness, I got the original deco, and it also blew me away just by how colorful it is. I like having both options, just the G1 colors, silver and red and black, and then this weird thing of white and purple and neon green. It works. It works for him.
So I don't actually own this toy. I'd like to own this toy at some point, some version of it. But I have a hot take about it. I think this toy carries on the spirit of the original Microman toy the best. Because the whole idea of Microman, if you remember, was that it was transforming robots that turned into things kids would have around their house. And I'm not sure if I'm entirely correct about this, but I think it could be argued the original Megatron didn't actually turn into a Walther P-38. It turned into a toy of a Walther P-38, which would have been similar to the kind of toys that they would have had back in the day, because toy guns were a lot more realistic back in the 80s and 70s and whenever. And this Megatron, I think, carries on that tradition in being very obviously a Nerf gun, the kind of thing a kid would be likely to have lying around their house.
I actually do have a copy of the Nerf gun that Megatron turns into. So
I didn't have one, but I knew a lot of people who did have them. It was like the most ubiquitous Nerf gun. But yeah, I honestly think that Classics Megatron is the closest spiritual successor to G1 Megatron, and not just because he's a gun Megatron, but because he's a toy gun Megatron. If that makes any sense.
And it's just nice to see Megatron as a gun again, if nothing else.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And
Yeah,
I'm transforming him right now, and I gotta say, it is one fantastic transformation scheme. It's so complex and just very, very out there.
Even the wings, let's be real, it is a shell former in the grand scheme of things, but even the wings don't really detract from the overall look that much, in my opinion.
Well, I do remember back in the day this figure was referred to as Butterfly Megatron.
what was he called?
Butterfly Megatron.
I love the wings. I think the wings are he owns it,
I think it's kind of funny how the box uses the wings as an advertising point. Ooh, the cylinder becomes wings.
I mean, personally, I'd see it as more of a regal thing, like a cape.
That works. I suppose, yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Like, if you tell a kid, oh, instead of saying, oh, this figure has kibble, you tell a kid, oh, no, that's wings. They're not going to know the difference. They're going to be like, oh, Megatron has wings, he can fly, that's cool, you know? They don't have critical thinking skills.
Stick him up. And it's amazing how he has like a spring-loaded trigger and everything.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot less orange on his. Sorry, I muted my mic instead of stopping my camera. There's a lot less orange on him than appears in the box. Like, you see the trigger and the clips are all orange on the box art, but they're just regular on here. For some reason, the orange on my copy is like half, like really faded. I think it was left in a window or something.
And the sad part about this figure is that it would no longer pass safety standards today, I don't think.
Even
Oh,
with
it
those-
barely passed safety standards when it came out.
But it's a Nerf gun!
So
So it doesn't look like a gun. So
then
what's
again,
the issue?
we actually did get a redeco of this in the West, didn't we? It was like that red Megatron.
Yeah, it was the one that actually looked like it was the one that was closest to the Henkei color scheme, so it looked more like a gun.
Yeah, except he had a fuck ton more red.
Yeah, it was the Age of Extinction Megatron, right?
Let me check.
I kind of regret not getting that figure back in the day because, like, oh, it comes with because it came with the Classics Optimus Prime because it was a 2-pack. I was like, oh, I've already got Classics Optimus, but in hindsight, I wish I kind of did get that set because it looks really good, and I love the Classics Optimus I have from my childhood, but it is quite dog-eared now.
Yes, it was Platinum Edition Megatron.
Oh, did it come in a 2-pack with Optimus Prime?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Optimus Prime sucked, I believe. I'm trying to find it. Oh boy. Let's see.
And there was the United version as well, which just had more silver on it compared to the Henkei release.
Yeah, the Optimus Prime that this one came with had a more G1 accurate color scheme, except that they didn't paint the outside of his truck mode, so it's just clear plastic parts.
That's so weird.
Horrible looking.
God, man. I'm not gonna call them foul redecos, but like, who was this for, man?
Man.
Yep, Megatron's gun mode is really tight, and it's really good. It feels good in my hand, even though it's too small. That's what she said. I swear to God, if that's not my quote for the next episode.
Oh, don't worry, I'll see to that.
He has a quote-unquote working scope, and by working it just means you can see through it, allegedly. Everything's very, very distorted through it, but I can sort of make out Optimus Prime in my sights. Ugh. Hello, not so Alex.
Hello.
Okay, he said, "Hello, my friend ID Armed.
I
Hello,
know.
Runestone and Kit and everyone else."
Wow. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
I'm fine.
Oh, it's fine.
My feelings aren't hurt. Okay.
Oh my god.
So, everyone else, what do you think about the gun mode?
I love it. I love the. I what the hell?
It's okay not to, Alex. You don't have to spare my feelings.
Okay. Let's get back. Two
Oh,
things.
no.
Two things. Number one, I love that they call it the fusion blaster. Well, it's so stupid. Like, it's like, okay, go ahead and call it that. Number two, what is it? The Nerf Maverick. That's like the Nerf gun. I think a lot of people think of. So I think that's a pretty apt thing to use.
Yeah, it's. Holy crap! This is the most amount of people I've seen on the stream. We have 9 viewers. But yeah, yeah. This is about as quintessential a Nerf gun as you can get. Of course, the real Maverick doesn't come with a scope, as far as I know, or at least mine didn't.
It didn't. If I remember correctly.
But yeah, it's still really cool. The only way it could be cooler is if it was as big as the real one.
I kind of really want one of the colors.
Not
want
so,
one of
Alex.
these
You already
repaints.
have killed a man today.
Yeah, no, true. It's true. I would go feral to get a United Megatron. I would love a United Megatron.
Runestone, what do you think of Megatron?
Well, I mean, I have touched on the toy here and there. I just think it's really fun.
It hasn't been that long since your review of him, has it?
No, I say, like, I picked up the classics Voyager, Optimus Prime, and Megatron like years after I reviewed all the deluxes in my earlier years. It's just so fun.
How much of your classics collection do you still have?
I think I'll answer that question after the stream.
All right.
But shall we talk about Jetfire?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Shar, was this the one that you said was the one you were going to gush about or whatever? Or was it Megatron with your
It was
Microman.
With my, but I can talk about Jetfire in detail about how the fact that he's a very weird F-15. It's so strange because if you look at his alt mode, it's got really good alt mode. It's got really obviously not perfect shapes close to the F-15 all the way up until you get to the nose cone, and it's like, what is that? What is that nose cone? It's like a block of cheese.
It's a schnoz.
It's a snoot.
But it do not droop.
It does not know. It's very interesting how they chose to reference his obviously Macross roots with this figure, with the helmet and the fast pack. I quite like how it becomes cannons, which is also a reference to the super pack from Macross, probably maybe.
Huh. All right.
Because the super pack, if you ever look up the Macross super pack, it has like the 2 cannons that fall down over the shoulder, but it's only over one shoulder.
Oh, nice.
I
never knew that. I only know about the fast packs because that's
the one that's the Jetfire one. That's the one everyone.
Yeah.
And it's the one that didn't actually appear in the anime, to my knowledge.
Oh wait, what? Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm genuinely a very strange piece of Transform of I don't know, a very strange and niche piece of Transformers history is that the more niche version of the Super Pack was the one that became the character known as Jetfire. We were very close to having a version of Jetfire where he had like a giant cannon over his shoulder as part of his main design.
Yeah, that is really cool. Like, cool as fuck.
So yeah, I proportions wise, he's interesting because he's kind of stubby.
He
And of
really
course-
is. He feels very squat.
Yeah, it's like
I think that's partially just due to all the weapons and shit that get put on him. Because when you take them off, he looks pretty good. I think.
also the helmet does make his head look a lot bigger.
Yeah. He
Like,
looks
he looks a
fine
lot-
without the armor.
Yeah, I think proportion like I think now that I look at it, when you take off the helmet, he does get a lot more proportionate because the small head fits with the size and the proportions he has. He is, and of course he has the energon hips, which are very they're somewhat unfortunate, and they're the energon hips that don't have the swivel, so he has no swivel at the thigh whatsoever.
Nah, that's kind of weak sauce.
Yeah.
And those feet.
And the feet.
I mean, I kind of have to like the feet because once again they're another Macross reference. They are directly referencing the BF1 Valkyrie's feet, the way they transformed from the thrust nozzles.
Oh my gosh, whoever made this figure was a bit of a nerd. Let's find out. Let me find out who designed Classics Chugfire. I need to find out now.
I mean, it's basically all details taken from the original figure. Like, you wouldn't need to know that much about Macross to make these references.
Yeah, Eric Siebenaller did it. Okay, wow.
As gross as you believe the nose cone to be, I still have to say his jet mode is simply superb. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very stylish. I keep saying that a lot in this podcast. Stylish. Every figure just looks so dynamic and stylish.
Listen, I'm sorry, I have to. My honor as a playing nerd requires me.
Listen, I'm able to look past the closed cockpit of an IndyCar. Like, you can look past the dog-nosed F-15.
F-14, but yes.
Same thing.
No, it isn't. I promise I play up my autism for the streams.
Oh. So I'll say about Jetfire, the one that I think it's definitely a post ROTF thing, but I can definitely remember so many people like just trying to make alt modes or like combiner modes out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing one of Universe Treadbolt with Classics Magnus, who we'll get to eventually. Speaking of fan modes, I'm gonna try to turn him into a Gerwalk mode because that's something I've never done before.
I think you could do that with that one.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I'm pretty sure he was designed to have some sort of Gerwalk mode if you play with the joints enough.
Yeah, you can do a Gerwalk mode with him. In fact, I'll do it right now. I am the Macross man. I will do the Gerwalk.
So yeah, I definitely agree that this. I'd say this is the most playable of the Voyagers. I just really like the versatility of the figure because you got options to remove the weapons pack and the helmet. So the removal of the helmet so that you can have it as Skyfire from the cartoon, with all of it on. It looks like the original Jetfire toy. The guns on the weapons pack can aim forward. It's got a lot of accessories on top of that. Yeah, it's just a really fun figure.
Okay, yeah, he can't do the go walk because you can't put the backpack forwards and you can't have the feet angled forwards. So he just can't do a go walk.
I was able
I'm
to
sorry.
get something sort of close. I tried this, but it just doesn't look right to me. I don't know what to do
Yeah,
with
that's
the
what
back either.
I'm sorry, Mr. Catastrophe, but your Jetfire will never be able to go walk. Hey, you're not supposed to let those things slip.
Man, when we started this podcast today, I was kind of annoyed by how many clicks I was able to hear, but I can't really fault y'all for it. I'm playing with these toys myself.
Sliding rails and everything.
This is just the Majesty of the Archer era.
Yeah. God, classics. What a fucking time. So that's basically our thoughts on all the mainline stuff, but that's not everything that was released. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
We got a whole bunch of exclusives to talk about. I only have one of the figures on.
Wait, that wasn't. Okay, so was that Classics Optimus? Was the Masterpiece Optimus Prime the battle damaged version?
I think so.
Looks, I don't know. That looks like the clean version to me.
Oh yeah, there's the clean version. Yeah, you're right. It has the blue gun. I was gonna say because like if that was, then that Optimus Prime right there was one of the first Optimus Prime toys I ever had.
I'm pretty sure it was just the regular MP1 that was battle damaged. But yeah, I suppose the one that most of us have some knowledge on is Ultra Magnus versus Skywarp. Or at least that's the only one I have any knowledge on. Considering I have the set.
Pepsi Convoy counts?
Apparently.
Huh. Who would have thought?
Pepsi Convoy.
Well, I mean, at the very least, I think it was released alongside the Classics figures, so...
All right.
Yes, for some of our listeners who are not so versed in Transformers merchandise, there have been multiple Pepsi convoys.
For some reason.
For some reason, Optimus Prime just has a historic connection with the Pepsi brand.
So unserious. And then there's also a Masterpiece Starscream, and unlike Takara's, which whose deco was supposedly a more realistic one for the Jet, it's Hasbro that actually released the MP3 in cartoon accurate colors.
Oh yeah, right. That happened before MP11. For some reason.
Yes. Yes.
That MP Starscream. Sorry. That MP Starscream also has a lot of sentimental value to me just because of Night/2020 stop motions. I really have got to get y'all to watch them. They're so bad because they came out in 2007, and the camera quality and the audio quality shows. But I don't know. I just find it like a fundamental piece of Transformers media, even if it's completely fan made.
Was that the one that like ended in like a stop motion movie because
it was like over an hour long.
Yeah, I think I actually watched that as a kid. I have to say because it's been so long, but yeah. But That particular MP Starscream is actually the one I had as a kid as well, or continue to have. Which is unfortunate for me as the plain nerd, because you think I would have wanted the version that actually has the plain deco, even though it's camo and the F-15 isn't colored in camo. But I distracted myself. The point is, God damn it.
I'm gonna throw that up on the screen every so often.
So, okay, to get like an actual conversation going, I have Ultra Magnus, and oh my god, it's
As do
probably
I.
like my favorite Ultra Magnus inner robot deco ever.
Honestly, I'm more enamored with the vehicle mode deco than the robot mode. I think the robot mode is very, very bland and almost boring, but the
Wow.
vehicle mode makes up for it, in my opinion.
No, it's true. The seamless slit. Number one, paint matching is perfect between like blue paint, blue plastic, but then like the way it seams through multiple parts to like create this like wave deco, this wave design. It's so cool. It's so fresh. It's so awesome.
And Skywarp ain't half bad either.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I obviously I got the set for Skywarp, but you know I wanted both because eventually I want to get the City Commander set from Fans Project.
I mean,
But-
it's City Commander is why you get that Magnus. Isn't it?
But I mean, I still enjoy the Magnus on his own, and I'm honestly fine without the City Commander set, but I would still like to have it. But Classic Skywarp is really cool. I like how very bright his purple is. You don't really see that anymore with Skywarps. It's like, for instance, the Siege and Earthrise Skywarps were both very, very dark purples. Whereas this one, it's very bright and loud. I appreciate that. I know on the Henkei version that Runestone reviewed, it's more of a lavender, which also looks pretty cool. If it weren't for the bad QC.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I wish I had picked up Classic Skywarp instead of the Henkei release because the QC on that was crap.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
And
there's nothing stopping you from getting Classic Skywarp.
oh well, yeah, I know. It's just having experienced the Henkei one, it just hasn't been on my mind recently. And then there's also the commemorative edition Soundwave.
How many
Golden
tapes
Classic.
did that one come with?
I think it was just Laserbeak and Ravage.
Oh, that's lame.
Because it was recolored from they basically took Sound Blaster and recolored him back into Soundwave so that he could hold 2 cassettes.
That's
Ravage
insane.
and Laserbeak.
Wait, why? Wait, seriously? Wait,
Yeah.
what? Is this like the only time this is ever? I'm checking her. Oh my god. That looks really uncanny. Oh my, it is not my Soundwave. Holy cow.
The box art's kind of weird. Is that like Dreamwave or
Looks like it
IDW?
looks very Dreamwavy, yeah.
I think that is Dreamwave, but also I remember distinctly really wanting this set as a kid because I really wanted G1 Soundwave for some
For
reason.
me, it was like 2 years later. But
I didn't get a G1 Soundwave until they reissued him at
Walmart.
Oh, that's Universe Soundwave.
That is the G1 Soundwave box.
That's the one I
I
was
still
thinking
don't
of.
have a G1 Soundwave. I have a G1 Sound Blaster.
Oh, you lucky son of a bitch! Fuck you.
I mean, it didn't come with any of the cassette bots, but yeah, I got it for like 30 quid.
But yeah, I didn't get Soundwave until he was reissued at Walmart a few years ago, and he feels like ass. Please tell me that the other reissues don't feel like ass.
I don't know what this. I don't know myself.
Wait, is Sound Blaster rare?
No, he's the black one.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Penguins.
Count Blaster. Oh, I have no clue.
Yeah, he's just Japanese, so he's harder to get.
What? I just found him in a comic store one time.
Yeah, well, sometimes that happens.
I guess.
But he never had a Western release. So,
No, I'll take it.
yeah. Yeah. Not a whole lot to say on
It was
on my part.
a very small selection of guys. Not really much to say.
And the Energon recolors, Constructicon recolors.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that set if I wasn't still trying to complete my vintage Energon set itself. I cannot find the second front end loader for the life of me. I can't fucking find him. I'll probably search eBay or something later, but I have not had any luck finding Energon Bone Crusher.
I don't have the Energon. I don't have the Energon Devastator set, so I really can't compare it to anything. But I mean,
The Constructicon molds are pretty cool. I would really like to get that crane truck in black and purple in the picture. That one looks pretty damn cool.
The only one of the Energon Constructicons I have is the front loader in green, in like dark green.
Ooh, that's probably Sledge, I think. I think that might be the one I have.
Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, I don't have an awful lot to say about anything else on this slide.
Yeah.
So,
Me neither.
so like going back to the classic Seeker mold for a moment, to anyone who's still watching, you'll notice that in terms of the main line, we had Starscream, we had Ramjet, and of course Skywarp was available in a Target exclusive 2-pack. If you wanted the rest of the 3 Seekers, well, yeah. Presenting the box set that I have no doubt in my mind pissed off so many fans when it came out.
I can imagine.
The box set consists of Bugbite recolored from Bumblebee, Dreadwind from Jetfire, and of course you have the remaining 3 Seekers, Thundercracker, Dirge, and Thrust. So who'd like to go first on the main box set?
And this was back when Hasbro was straight up saying they wouldn't do these in generations. Of course, we all know now that all of us. I mean, Takara was not beholden to that, so they made their own Henkei and Gente versions anyway. But we did eventually get Thundercracker, Dirge, and Thrust at retail, and they were all pretty good, better than the BotCon versions in my opinion. But God, I could only imagine being a serious fan back in the day and seeing this absolute slap in the face to completionists come out. Like, I would have been so pissed off.
No, yeah, tell me about it, dude. Because, let me see. You're telling me you had to go to, this was 2007, I think? Yeah, BotCon 2007. You had to go to Rhode Island to go see this? Or to go get this? For $279? Or you could get them... like, oh my god, man. I know there's like a charm to the BotCon stuff, but oh my god, I don't know about at that price.
Yeah, the charm to BotCon stuff was supposed to be that it was like really niche stuff that only serious collectors would have any interest in. Not we didn't complete the set, so now you have to do a side quest.
Yeah, good fucking luck getting these back in the day. I'm not even sure it's easier now. Like, how often do you see a BotCon Dirge or Thrust go up for sale?
I did actually. Fun thing, a couple months back in like December, shortly after I graduated from university, I took a trip to a toy shop about an hour out. They had a boxed Games of Deception for $300. So the value on this set is
Jesus Christ, it's an appreciating asset.
Yeah.
I will
Wow.
say though, besides the Seekers, the two other figures are actually really cool. Bug Bite.
Yeah, I was
Bug
I was
Bite
gonna
looks
say,
amazing, and
the
I would
Dreadwind.
absolutely love to have a Botcon Dreadwind in my collection.
Dreadwind is honestly a really clever reuse of that mold.
I
Or
feel
not
like
a clever reuse, but like it's a good reuse of that mold.
Bug Bite and or Dreadwing, depending on like how bad you want either one. They feel like the BotCon 2010 clench of BotCon 2007, where like that's the one most people want and don't really care about the rest. Because like, reminder, BotCon 2010 was like Pyro, but they call him Spark, and he didn't really look much like Pyro. G2 Street Star, G2 Breakdown, Skybite for some reason, and then Clench, who looks really good. So like, he's the most expensive one, I believe. So like, Dreadwing feels like that, and Bugbite too. But like, Bugbite has War for Cybertron trilogy and Toy Hack stickers, which isn't a bad alternative in my eyes.
I mean, when the mold is that good, I would say it's a bad alternative.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I'm sorry, the Classics B mold is just too good to
Oh.
have anything replace it.
It is the quintessential Bumblebee.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need no others.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, let's not fool ourselves. A lot of people were buying this set for the Seekers at the time, but for me in this day and age, the most like the figure I desire the most out of the box set, at least, is Bug Bite, because his deco looks so much better than the Selects version.
Yeah, it's because he actually has the tribal tattoos and isn't just white all over. But yeah, I think now that we've had all 6 Seekers, in generations since this came out, Bug Bite has really become the standout spotlight sought after figure for everyone. Whereas Dreadwing, no one really cares about Dreadwind except for a few people. So
I will say.
Christians.
I will say that the thing about Thrust is that the wings for him, the Botcon version and the Generations version, are actually different sculpts. And the great thing about it is that you could have the Generations version, and if you wanted like a version of this mold with the Botcon wings, it was eventually recolored and retooled into Nacelle. So you have a little variation there.
True.
And of course, Sturge in that set was just recolored from Ramjet, so his wings weren't accurate at the time.
Yeah, looking at him though, with that very, very black color scheme for both him and Thrust, I think they work pretty well. I wouldn't mind having them in my collection one day. Thundercracker can fuck off though. I mean,
oh my god!
He could stick around as just a generic Seeker, I guess. But
aren't Botcon, Dirge, and Thrust aren't the paint apps on those two figures based on the original G1 toys and the original
I think
G1?
all 3 of them take after their G1 toys much more. Yeah,
the paint apps and decals.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But yeah, we could probably talk about the other figures that were involved. I have no idea why the hell is Weird Wolf in the
I was
picture
gonna
on
ask,
top.
was Weird Wolf like part of the box set, or
No, he wasn't. He came with Huffer.
I think this guy was splitting them up by
He's pictured with the other because they're all Decepticons, so that's why they're in the same picture.
I'm retarded.
But I think the Autobots they pulled the better straw from this, because I really do like all of the stuff in that pick.
I mean, I'm looking. It looks like there's a figure missing there.
Is it maybe? I feel like it's Alpha Trion and Razor.
No. There's a space on the left, and it's just there's nothing there, and it feels like there should be something there.
Fuck off.
Oh, I hate you.
He got you twice. ID.
Tice, man. Oh my god.
I gotta say, I gotta say though, I love that Alpha Trion. It looks incredible.
It's
Yeah, it looks.
it's a really good use of a mold, to be honest. Yeah.
I would love to get that figure, except for the fact that it's probably like $1,000.
I think I saw
I
that
think it
mold.
is
I saw
not
that at
like-
like no, it's not that. I saw it at TF Nation last year at the Toy Foo booth. It did go really quickly though. But yeah,
Springer looks fantastic though, even though he looks nothing like Springer.
They were
Like when I see that, I know in my head he's Springer, but that deco just makes him look like he just like the deco with the mold just makes him look like OC, and I think and that's fine. It just works on the mold, even if it doesn't
Yeah.
remind me of Springer. And then there's Huffer.
Yeah, Huffer looks pretty cool.
yeah, I once again I think quite good use of that mold. Especially since they did pipes later on, didn't they?
no,
No,
they
they
didn't.
didn't.
No, they didn't.
No.
Oh,
You're probably
I
just
own
thinking
the
of
Armor
Armorhide, who was blue from the start.
oh, yes, of course, yeah.
I own the black armor hide from the first movie line.
This is one Cybertron mold I don't have a single version of. I need to fix that.
Same. It's a good looking mold. I've messed around with it. I remember seeing the movie Armorhide in the comic books and thinking that's a cool design. I'd never seen a transform where like the front of the truck is upside down in robot mode. And I didn't realize there was a toy of it until later on, of course. And I wouldn't mind that toy. I wouldn't mind owning it.
He's not terribly expensive either.
Also, he has like is it a Nest or a Sector 7 themed
Yeah,
cyberpunk
it's
key?
Sector 7. It's Sector
Yeah.
7.
You know, I always thought for some reason that Botcon Alita and Razor Claw were from this year, but no, they were done later in 2009. I think the 2009 set, because 2009 was what? Wings of Honor? No.
Yeah,
Wings
it
of
was
Honor.
Wings of Honor. I remember because Vangelis reviewed the whole set in one big review.
So I literally think that 2-pack is like we're sorry we didn't do these earlier 2-pack, because the classic sleeve I think goes with these guys, and then Razor Claw goes with Dawn of Futures Past, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Interesting how that works. So, I mean, is there anything else for classics?
Have
Or
we
did
talked?
I think
Talked about
that's it.
Weirdwolf. Did we
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned he was out of place, but it's neat.
Yeah, no, again, working with what they had, but like the Snarl mold, I haven't messed with it ever. Maybe you should really look for it at TFCon. Looks fun. So, like, I wouldn't say no to getting it.
Yeah, Snarl is another mold that I have absolutely no exposure to, so
Yeah, same. Never even touched it.
I should really get one at TFCon. Yeah, I think I should.
I will say I like the unique transformation.
yeah, I like how he turns inside out. It was
Inside
very
out
dynamic on the screen.
sideways. Because he has like a sort of like a Beast Wars Megatron type transformation thing going on.
Yeah. Shall
There's
we
a beast
take
to a dinosaur?
Shall we take some audience questions? We have 3 of them.
Sure.
I think we are about to wind down for today, so I'm ready for some questions.
Yes. Our first question comes from Needle Nose Enthusiast, otherwise known as Garrett. Do you think there's a figure from this line who had the best redesign?
Bumblebee,
Yeah, Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
And Cliff Jumper by extension.
Roxy, yeah. Like no contest.
I'm gonna go for Astro Train.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good shout. That's a good answer.
I'd say Optimus is up there, but like to be honest, I do
Yeah.
think it's weird. He feels a little naked without the smokestacks. To be
Yeah,
honest,
it's
like
like
that's stupid.
Optimus and Astro Train are really big blind spots for me because these toys are what I think of when I think of, these characters. So like it's really hard for me to be like, oh yeah, these are actually redesigns. These aren't the originals, but they were the first. They were some, or at least some of the first versions of these characters that I was exposed to.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Whereas with Bumblebee, I didn't get him until 2 years ago, and I got Cliffjumper this week. As good as Mirage's toy is, I don't really like the design. He's very anorexic
Spindly.
in a bad way.
Yeah.
He's very oddly proportioned. I mean, he doesn't look bad or anything, but he's not how I like my Mirages to look. But still, I mean, he's a fantastic toy. So how much am I really going to complain?
Yeah.
Grimlock would have been on the short list too if his robot mode actually was solid in any way.
I mean, design-wise, just from a design perspective, not considering the quality of the toy, Grimlock's design is pretty cool.
It is. It's very different, and I like that.
Yeah. They took a risk, and you gotta at least respect that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, for real.
Yeah, I that's the one thing I'll give Classics Grimlock. Its transformation is different from all the others.
Yeah.
Mind you, the others weren't even out yet at the time, but there we go.
Yeah. I mean, the way it's designed with the spark thing, it kind of sort of feels like maybe a Beast Wars figure almost.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
get
a Beast Wars expert, but
I've had my fair share of experiences with spark crystals. I can get that, but no, it's a class. It's a homage to, I believe, his classic Pretender toy. Like, yeah, that's really clever. I can dig that.
Yeah.
All right.
So our next question is from Chicken Soup. Any particular decos of the Classics molds you feel are the best / definitive versions?
Bumblebee again. I think. Well, if we're ignoring Cliffjumper, yeah, I think Classics Bumblebee is the best because that mold got.
I think he's asking definitive versions of the toy, like which version of the mold, like which deco feels the most definitive of each mold.
Yeah.
Classics Cliff then. Okay. I rescind my previous answer to say Cliff.
God, I have to say Timeline Sideburn. He just makes the Rodimus mold work. It makes it sing. I love Timeline Sideburn, and I will never stop singing its praises.
Maybe I'll just drop 50 on him at TFCon. We'll see. Oh my god, man, this episode is literally just my TFCon wish list.
For me, it would be the original Shatterglass Optimus Prime. It has so much more personality than the new one from Selects. I'll say that.
That is a really good shout.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of takes advantage of, like you guys mentioned, the angry Optimus Prime face.
Yeah, well, 100%. Absolutely.
And I suppose, if you didn't grow up with this particular Optimus Prime, then it does also distinguish that Optimus Prime rather than just being a purple Optimus Prime. He's got his own design.
Yeah, this is true.
I think we're ready to move on to the last question.
So our last question from Next Mix. Do you feel there were any major missed opportunities in terms of redecos of Classics molds? So basically, I guess Chug Wishlist Hard Edition. Just pick any of these 7 molds.
Well, I mean, for one, I'm surprised that they didn't do the likes of Hubcab, Tap Out, and Glyph. There was, I think, there was a blue Bumblebee redeco somewhere.
Yeah,
it showed up somewhere, but then it just sort of vanished off the face of the earth or something.
Okay, I got one. RID Rail Spike from Astro Train.
Mm.
The rest of the train box from Astro Train.
Yeah.
Let me see.
and then a fans project third-party kit to actually make them combine somehow.
I don't really have an answer for this one.
I think the thing is, those classic, like, not even talking about just like Seeker mold. Classics got so much mileage for like them to do like a billion or like look at like Classic Magnus, dude. You can get them in Ultra Magnus colors, Nemesis Prime colors, Black Convoy colors, like two different separate things.
They never did a powered convoy, did they?
Like Ultra Magnus SG, which is like the thing that just made up and just continued. Like, yeah, no, like that applies to like everyone. Though I do agree with, if I had to pick something, I actually think it would have been cool to see. It would have never come out in the US, that's for sure. But Megatron in like any of the Diaclone gun colors is like the closest I can think of. That's it.
Oh God, could you imagine that mold in black?
Black or brown or something, you know?
Also, yeah, I'm looking up. Yeah, I don't think they did. I don't think they ever did do powered convoy from that mold.
Yeah, I guess that would be my answer then. Powered convoy.
Guys,
Blue Optimus.
No, guys. We're talking Magna Convoy, LGEX Magna Convoy.
Did they do it?
Wait.
Oh my God.
Also, I gotta say,
oh, they did.
They did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Like, he's like one of my guys. You guys have noticed.
I'm sorry, Armed. We're not as autistic about Japanese releases as you are, apparently.
It's true, but like,
Man.
Oh my God, I can't believe this, guys. Wow.
Fuck, I guess I have to pick someone else. Shit.
Also, I will say that for as many times as the classic Seeker mold was reused, there were still characters they could have done with that. They didn't do Red Wing, they didn't do Nova or Ion Storm. They didn't do the deco that would retroactively become Cloud Cover. Blackout.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I guess just going back to the F1 autist in me, I just like to see Mirage in another color scheme. I have a bone to pick with Red Mirage specifically. You know the Diaclone Red Mirage.
Yeah.
Just because it's just the Ligier livery in red, which is cursed. Ligier is a French team; they would never race in red.
Would you have liked a Machine Wars Prowl from Mirage?
I suppose it would have been hella boring though. He's just white with some stickers.
What about RID Skids?
Ooh, that would be pretty.
That's
cool.
a good shout. Yeah.
But I think I would just prefer. I would like to see this mold in Marlboro McLaren colors. Let me look up a picture for y'all's benefit. Oop. Gotta find the group chat. Here we are.
Oh, you mean like exhaust colors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like one of the most famous open wheel race car liveries of all time.
Do they still use? Are they still allowed to use this?
No.
Oh, I was wondering.
Cigarette sponsorships were outlawed in the 2000s or so.
Wow.
Philip Morris International still kept sponsoring Ferrari until just like 2021, but under some like really weird shell company called Mission Winnow. Oh, let me see if I can find the website. Mission Winnow. Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so here's what their website says. Mission Winnow is a content lab focused on stories and content which ask difficult questions and contribute to the important conversations of our time. At the heart of Mission Winnow is a core belief that open and constructive discussions are the key to tackling some of the world's biggest challenges. Mission Winnow exists to spark debate and thought-provoking discussion through compelling, challenging, and inspiring content. They do nothing. They just advertise cigarettes.
Wow, that is the longest string of corporate buzzwords I've ever heard.
Yeah. all they do is make like the entire point of the company's existence is to make you look them up to find out who they're owned by, and it's a tobacco company. But they stopped sponsoring Ferrari a couple years ago. Yeah. Ooh, maybe Mirage in some John Player special colors. You know, the black and gold Lotus. That would look amazing on this mold. But yeah, that's about all I have to say.
Yeah, no, again, just kind of repeating myself, but Classics, not because of Classics itself, but because of how often those molds were used by literally every company that works on Transformers.
I have one repaint idea for a classic Starscream.
Yeah.
Cypher and Pixie from Ace Combat Zero. Do that as a color scheme. That's like the even more Starscream repaints. Just do the Ace Combat Seekers. Someone.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think that brings a wrap to our discussion on classics. This was a pretty good rundown memory lane, I think.
I'm surprised there was so much for me to talk about since I wasn't really like collecting the big figures back in the day.
Well, I mean, every day is a new opportunity, Armed.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason you can't start now.
I will now pick up the entirety of the line at LA. I will drop all the custom money I make.
You're gonna skip out on Omega Prime for classics.
Oh, that would be a terrible idea. Not because I hate classics, but because classics is also ridiculously easy to get. Like figures, like back collect, from what it seems like.
Oh yeah, I mean, I did it in the span of like two years without even trying.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I will still hunt for.
You could do it in a shorter amount of time if you really put your heart into it.
Oh man, two and a half, almost 3 hours, man.
Yeah.
You guys feeling ready to wrap things up?
So yeah, I mean, to anyone who's still watching, I imagine we have a question for you. That being, what toy line would you like us to do a retrospective on next?
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh my gosh.
No one comments on these. We're not going to get any suggestions.
I go for alternators because that's a very nostalgic toy line for me, albeit for different reasons from Beast Wars.
I would love to talk about Beast Wars. I feel like that would be very much like a you and I episode.
I have Injector now.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, never mind. You're officially a Beast Wars fan.
Yay!
I have the original. I have the original Optimus Primal. Got it from TF Nation. It's very nice. Yeah, we could talk about Hunt for the Decepticons. That was a really fun. That was a big line for me growing up.
Ooh yeah.
I had a lot of good molds. Just talk about the movie toys in general.
But yeah, homework assignment. Give everyone in the chat right now list off some toy lines you want us to talk about. There will be no extra credit. This will be 50% of your grade. If we don't like it, we'll fail you instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And expel you. You'll be banned from future streams. But yeah, ID Armed, you played us in. How about you play us out?
All right. So all the people that join in, because I have to say, thank you all for joining, because there was a lot of you this month.
Yeah, we
Thank
almost
you all
hit
for
double
giving it a
digits.
listen. We really appreciate it, as always. That you give us 4 internet niche micro celebrities more of a voice than we already do on like Twitter and whatnot. We'll see you all next month when we talk about whatever we talk about. I don't remember if we have an exact plan, to be honest.
We don't.
But signing off is your Dean of Arts, ID Armed. your Dean of Fabrication, definitely not Char, your Dean of Critique, Runestone, and of course, the one and only Headmaster, Kit Catastrophe.
We bid you adieu.
Goodbye.